Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another stream here as we're committing to some more of the World Cup tryouts. I was live a little earlier today with Team Turkey, but now we are here with Team Chile. And joining me, the lovely Monteneva and Mott. Obviously, both extremely excited here tonight to be able to see a lot of these amazing players down here in Chile. And again, I'm gonna double down on this thing of excitement because we were just the entire time talking about like, oh my god, this is gonna be so much fun. We get to watch all these teams trial, and it's something that we haven't personally experienced much at all. So we are so stoked for it.
No, heavy on the experience part because again, really getting into like the nitty gritty of broadcasting, especially for you and I doing co-streams, and now going into like trying to figure out all these teams doing their trials and if they're open to having co-streamers on them. It has been a really fun journey, and genuinely, World Cup, what 3 years ago, 2023,
Yeah.
was some of the most fun I've ever had watching Overwatch outside of OWCS. Genuinely, from previous years. And the fact that it's back, first of all, let's rep. I'm happy. I'm excited. We have all of our players that we know from various leagues, or you know a little bit more than I do, especially this region. But we have so many good players coming into trial to have to be the representatives of these countries for the World Cup. It's just I actually cannot. I'm so excited. I'm gonna explode. I'm only 5 feet tall. I can't be this excited. I'm gonna actually like combust. I love it.
Well, it's very easy to be excited for this at the end of the day. The thing that I was talking about big time, as I'll kind of pull up the big roster of players we have trying out this weekend, is the fact that at the end of the day, every time you either participate in one of these or you just watch one of these trials, you want every player to pop off. You want every player to come in and do their best, because what we want at the end of the day is we want every team, every country to be as competitive as possible. We want to go out of this game being like, I'm not gonna sit here and say I know every single name on this list. I definitely don't. But the thing is that after I'm done, I want to be like, oh, I know that name now. After watching you for 2 hours, I know what you're capable of, and I want to see you more. That's just like that happened earlier with Turkey. It's like, well, I didn't know what your name was, and now I'm like, oh, now I want to see your name again. Okay. I feel that. I'm excited for it. So it's going to be a lot of fun. And honestly, with Chile, there are so many players, very competitive players down here, that you see this list, there is a lot of people trying out to be on this team.
There's like at least over per role, right? Tank definitely the biggest of the group right now. It has like I think 10 players 10 plus 6, around 10 players trialing just for that one tank spot. That's also like the thing about going from 6v6 to 5v5, right? Is that's only one tank role, only one person, maybe two people with a substitute, of course, will be getting that spot, right? Instead of the two that you would usually have in that roster previous to Overwatch 1, now 2, now 1 again. And then for the other roles, it's a little bit more like, okay, you have your hit scans. There's a couple of people in there. There's like around 6 of them listed, and everything else, Flex DPS supports, all have 5 or less trialing, right? Still a lot of people. You got to make sure that you're able to accommodate, adapt, showcase what you can do. Pressure is always working under pressure. And again, you're representing a country if you're able to get through these trials. And 3 days of trials, correct? Today, Saturday, and Sunday are all just straight trial days for these players.
Yeah, it 100% is. And the bright side is that a lot of these players, they are very much used to competition. They are used to playing at some of the highest levels in their region, which obviously that level experience is an extremely important thing at the end of the day. Because obviously there's some players that obviously haven't done that, but that doesn't mean you view them any better or any less in a situation. You want someone to be able to show up and be like, okay, now this person, I want to see them being represented on the grand stage. I want them to be able to go out there and play against some of the other best members out there. And the thing that's going to be really exciting is you compare the team from 2023, and you look at the list on here, and there's essentially nobody from it. And that is, in a sense, that is a good thing. Because that means you're going to have a whole new fresh team, a whole new batch of players coming in here, and it's going to be extremely exciting. Now, I will say, Mott, we did have some kind of preview of some of these big Chile players earlier last year as a Grupo Senju. They represented the Copa Americana, so we had regions like Argentina, Brazil, Peru bring out some of their members for that. In Chile, was as well, and quite a couple of those members you see here in this lineup today, like Bert, who I've seen Bert play for quite a long time, has recently played for Factor X, where Factor X won the title for Face of League South America back in Season 6, and now Bert, under the rebranded Dilpados, also won Season 7 just a couple of weeks back alongside some of their fellow members, and it's real exciting to see how well some of these players have done over the course of these last several months, because obviously myself and Dexatron have been able to see a lot of these players for quite some time, and it's been a really exciting experience getting to see them. And at the end of the day, I want them to succeed, obviously, but I want to see what the other people in the region that are or people in this region, what they can do in a scenario like this. Like, I don't know who Kratos is, I don't know who Tokyo is, but I want to see them play, and I want to see them pop off.
No, heavy on that. And I'm coming from the lens of, I don't know any of these players. I don't know any of these players, right? And again, coming from someone who just really does cover a lot of North America, some EMEA whenever I am available, willing with my work from home, my hybrid work schedule, to be able to look at new players is something that I love doing. And even more so, as you mentioned, brand new players. You're not seeing any repeats in 2023. 24 didn't exist, 25 didn't exist. We're going into 2026, brand new players. And that also just kind of, again, it's a kind of a good thing and a little bit of a sad thing, right? Some of these players that have moved on to hopefully bigger and better things in their own lives. And then you have players coming in that are filling in where there's a spot left. And that's just, to me, very beautiful. I love those kind of storylines. I love those kind of just everything about it. I just love so much. And Hunter, I think it looks like we might be getting into the actual tryouts sooner rather than later. I see our our feed is starting to get some people into their lobbies and start to get into the game.
Yeah, 100%. And obviously, I think one of the coolest things about whenever these trials happen, and especially when we do regions outside of like North America, is you have casters from the respective regions as well. Like, yeah. I've been able to see a lot of different Spanish and Portuguese speaking casters over the course of the last several months, and they've been extremely excited. Like, I don't know if you sat and even like watched like OWCS for like Japan, but those they pop off. I don't know what you're saying, but you hype every single thing up.
Oh, their clips, they've gone on Twitter, and they were just so excited. Everything was at 100% energy. Every single thing that happened on the map, 100% energy. Between maps, 100% energy. Oh, I know exactly. Even though I was not awake, because those are diabolical hours for OWCS Japan, the clips that circulated Twitter of those casters, oh my goodness. I don't know what they're saying either, but my goodness, you go, Glen Coco, because I love whatever you're saying right now. I love the energy.
It's so entertaining, and honestly, it's the same way down here. I don't know if you've seen anything from the Andromeda series. So Andromeda has a couple things between. They do one for Europe, and they do one for like Latin America, South America, and both are extremely entertaining. Obviously, me being a pure English speaker, I try to learn what Portuguese I can. I'll be honest, I'm not an expert. I'm barely a beginner. It's really exciting to watch them and see their own cadence and how they approach a lot of these fights. Because the same way that we're going quick.
Oh.
Yeah, well, we are just straight shooting into it right there. So yeah, go ahead. We're going to go ahead and get into this one as I'll pull it up over here on this side. But not much room for introductions, to be honest here, Modders. We just got to get straight into this thing.
We gotta get straight into it. Zeus already taking down the mirror match between himself and Pun. Then Lamont comes in with the kill onto FX. And then look at this. It's a cleanup up out of Iso, losing a couple of their members. Santiago looking like Zeus might be the one to look at. Now, again, to be completely fair, we are, 30 seconds into our trials, and Zeus has already showcased a almost 5K off the rip? Okay, I'm watching.
Yeah, no, I'm psyched to see what we can see right here. Glitch, one of those tanks that I am familiar with, played for Team Pumas, which ended up getting to the grand finals back in Season 6 for FACE. It ended up going down to that Factor X team that I mentioned before. And again, playing alongside Bert, LCS, that are also former Factor X members. There is quite a number of current and former Factor X members on this team, and it is so incredible to see them play against each other like this.
It is. I just love it's kind of like pugs, but not. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like there's gonna be plenty of guys in their different teams. You gotta figure out how to synergize one another. Who looks good together. Who is struggling a little bit together. Who is able to kind of do plays like this from the side of pun, keeping Santiago back in that spawn area, or at least the entry point from the spawn room, and they flipped it really early, I will say, too. Big thing is, Lamont has bullet shot. Now I'm looking at, okay, do you use your ultimates well? Do you hold on to it for too long? Do you stay too far into a high charge Zarya like from Kez? And do you see the rest of the team from Valparaiso start to trade off? Glitch for Lamont. Santiago had to walk with no tank, and are they going to do it? Well, they're going to invest a rush here, which is a little bit of a risky play, but I like it.
It is a little risky at the end of the day, but there's one thing that I know from all these players. They are more than willing to go into a fight. If they think it is 10% winnable, they will treat it like it's 90% winnable. That is what they do in a lot of these engagements. And you see Burt get caught out early in senses, unfortunately, in the same light.
Man, as you said, like, if they think it's winnable, they'll take the trade. They'll take the opportunity. And my goodness, one opportunity taken from Burt onto poor old Lamar. Sound barrier gets used, and yeah, we saw a little bit of some server issues that has been very ongoing as of late, unfortunately. So quick little pause. Not too bad, though.
Yeah, no, not bad at all. Yeah, that's just like a small preview right there. Very small preview. But I didn't get to enunciate it much when we were talking before we got into stream. But these players really will do some things that you will not see from like our North American Patriots. You will not. They will go for these fights. They will say, it's a 3v5. We got this. It's winnable. Don't worry about it. Invest a beat. Promise. It'll work out somehow. And the odd part is, Mod, sometimes it does. Sometimes it genuinely works out. And it's like, you can't say anything. It's just like, well, they did it. Why am I surprised?
I can't even get mad because it really did work out. You know, like I said, like usually if you trade off like a tank or something and you're like, oh, we're down a tank, like low-key GG, Zarya on the other side beaming me down. They, like you said, NA would be like, nah, we got quickly regroup around the corner, call it a day, then we go back in, right? These guys, I was like, wait, we going in with Rush? Oh, and the kite away from Valparaiso was so good, low-key, until they all died, of course, to Santiago. Yeah. But, like, otherwise, it was a good kite away. Like, they were like, wait, they're pushing. We got to back out. And they thought they could re-engage, and then they couldn't, because that's how confident Santiago are playing. I love that. I love that stuff.
Yeah, and I believe the pause came through. I think Kez ended up either disconnecting or having issues because I did see Azari start walking to a wall, and I'm like, there may or may not be an issue at play here. So hopefully we'll get that figured out here pretty soon, because obviously we want everybody to have their fair chance in the situation to be able to show what they can do. Because over the course of these next few days here, you're going to see a lot of players go in and out. I don't know specifically who's playing on what maps, but you're probably going to see some shuffling throughout the evening throughout a lot of these players, especially in the tank category, and kind of see what they could bring to the table. Because at the end of the day, you have to give every player that has signed up their first shot or their fair shot to show what they can do, because you never know who's going to come in and be the superstar that's like, yeah, I want you in our starting 7. You are this good.
No, seriously, that's all it comes down to. Are you good enough? Do you have what it takes to represent Chile? Like, that's really the nitty-gritty of what we're looking at tonight. FSX coming in, finally getting respawn and all that jazz. But otherwise, ultimates online, how do you use them? Of course, these are just gonna be like your classic, something laid right into the enemy line, and it's a double kill. Are you serious? A double whammy from Zeus? Yeah, Zeus. You are being looked at as we speak, man.
Yeah,
goodness.
Yeah. That honestly, the way this combo has been between the Zarya as well as the Vendetta has just been, it's been so difficult to deal with. It's such a strong composition, a strong duo that go together. There's next to nothing you can do about it. That's just how things are. But we do see a grab early on here.
Oh, that was nasty. I made a whole face. Oh, that was nasty from Glitch. I mean, I think literally Lamont was trying to go over the barricade to go for the touch because they were nearing 100%, of course. And then, bang, you're not going nowhere. You're not going nowhere. we're grabbing that. Oh my gosh. But again, they're going to be swapped around a little bit. You're not going to see Glitch with Burt and Zeus and Saru and LCS the entire night, right? So this could just be a good synergy kind of thing going in for these guys. You know, as you mentioned, lots of Factor X players playing today in the trials, and we're just gonna see how it unfolds, dude. But that was a really good showing from Zeus, for me at least.
Yeah, no, that was incredibly fun to see. Uh, and again, being able to see most of these players to be like, oh my god, those are the people I know. I love these guys. That's just how it is being able to watch them. It really is fantastic in the situation. Uh, as my thing glitches out for a moment, that's beautiful. But it's extremely entertaining because we just I'm gonna enunciate it for the next like hour and 48 minutes.
No, please
But
do.
it's so entertaining seeing all these players go at it. There is something about it that always just brings a smile to my face because I've seen these players go from like the open division to master, or like these teams that have like have always been the bridesmaid and never the bride, and then they get there and you can't help but be so happy for them.
Stop. I'm in a very, very emotional time in my life right now because that's what I love. I mentioned a lot of times on CGL, for example, watching Diamond teams going into Masters. I mean, there's a team that is in Masters right now that were in Diamond for 2 years straight. And I get so emotional about it. Oh, anyway, we're going to see some Domino play on Lijiang control or Lijiang tower control center. Honestly, not a bad spot for her to be. I'm still myself learning this character and learning how she works. But I know how Genji works. My goodness. Zeus runs in with the elimination onto Lamont, who was trying out his Sojourn up against Bert. Not going to find too much with it, unfortunately. So, and I do want to say, interesting. You know, we're seeing these mirror matches. I think, of course, having these players flex to different characters, maybe not in their map pool or in their hero pool, but seeing how they work with it is so important in these trials.
No, it's really important. You need to see this from everybody and see their flexibility, see what they can bring out in a scenario like this, because it is important at the end of the day. Like I brought up earlier, as Lamont goes down early, you need to see everything from every player that comes through, and Bert is no stranger to the Sojourn, I will tell you that much.
I believe it. A rail shot right through this Dominus shield. Dude, I love Dominus shield so much, by the way. I think it's so fun. Look at the angle from Bert, by the way. Hold on. Lamb gets forced out. Lamont goes in for trying to shut down the overclock, but it all ends off for naught. Double whammy from Santiago. Losing Zeus in the meantime, though. Not the end of the world, but they're being completely spawn held, and this is nothing different, really, on Control Center, if you really think about it.
No, not at all. And Bert Lamont, that is a very familiar 1v1. That is Pumas versus Factor X Season 6 levels right there. These players very familiar going against each other, playing with each other as well, but especially being competitive with one another as Bert gets the better once again. But FX, always been a super aggressive Lucio alongside Senses on that Puma squad. They look fantastic. Unfortunately, they're kind of getting shut down.
Yeah, they are. Ooh, good walks up right onto FX, as you mentioned. Pun also down for the count. It is just Santiago getting nice and warmed up. This is a true warm-up map. You know what I mean? When you're like, warm-up round, okay, now we're good to go. These guys are good to go. Round 1, a little bit closer. Round 2, it has been no contest from Bad. So they have ultimates to work with at the very least, starting things off with the overfly from Lamont. It does get negated by glitches. Domino ultimate here, and now what do we see? Ooh, love the shield to protect ourselves as we run back to the spawn room, but Pun gets at least a couple of... Oh, not someone, excuse me, that was Zeus. Oh, kill feed bug. Zeus gets a beautiful Dragon Blade off and gets a couple of kills in the meantime. I love that. Kill feed bug, man, is killing me. I can't do it.
It does get me from time to time, and I have to sit here like, is that how it's supposed to look? Is that I've messed up calls before because I'm like, wait, that doesn't make any sense. Something's
yes. Oh my
right
god,
here.
It's so embarrassing, dude. I'm like, oh yeah, they won. Wait, they just lost. Never mind, they didn't win.
Yeah,
they
like,
actually got destroyed.
like a team legit stepped off a point, lost their fight, and it was such a big moment. But because the kill feed bug the way it was, and I was so focused on that, it was like a 4v1, and I'm like, oh, I thought they lost all of their members, but no, the enemy team just literally got off the cart. It's like, wait a minute, it's like the slow realization. The gears start turning. It's like, oh my god.
Dude, it's been like 3 or 4 patches. It's never leaving. I don't know if they know how to fix it. Maybe it's like some hidden like little line of code that just got all scrambled up like 3 patches ago. They can't find where it is. I'm convinced that's what it is at this point. Oh my gosh, it's the worst.
It is. Hopefully it gets fixed in the future, but you know, that's wishful thinking, I think. But we'll get to the point when we get to it. Either way, we're getting ready to head to this next one right here and get things away. As the Diva come out. Actually, but the cats are out too.
I want some cat spectating. Where's my observer with the cat observing? Like I need to see Surreal and FX here. With that being said, recall gets used. Burt finds FX unfortunate. So one cat down, one diva down too. Glitch out of that mech, and Kenz is doing a really good job of kind of playing around that mini area to not get DMAC by Burt, but Burt still finds at least one kill onto the Tracer before, meeting the team back in the spawn room.
Yep, 100%. And it's a big good display for them as they're eventually going to go ahead and cap the point away. But it's going to be really excited to see where things kind of continue from here on. As obviously, I mean, with having the jetpack cat, things are very weird with how it works out. Let's be completely honest there. But it's really exciting to see. And now that you have Lamont ready with the Deadeye, maybe we see something. But instead, Lamont just gets rid of Zeus.
This is his character. This has to be Lamont's character here already. I think we're seeing a big difference in the Cassie versus the confidence in the Cassidy versus the Soj we saw in Control Center just last round. This is so good for Valparaiso. And as you mentioned, Lamont having Deadeye prior to Burt is absolutely insane. It's how powerful he's already been showcasing himself to be in really most of the pre-fights more often than not. Next fight's happening, but a little bit of a slower paced one, taking their time, trying to find Kez, who is able to use the bomb, and then gets the remake.
Yeah, and gets Burt. Oh, that's rough to lose early on, but still, I mean, it's still anybody's fight right now. Lamont could try to finish this with getting rid of Zeus right now, who's doing their best impression of the 80 strafing. It just doesn't work, and eventually with 60%, everyone gonna be forced back, so Valparaiso, they're side doing a lot better right here, but they still need to close this out. And honestly, this nano is probably gonna be the biggest thing. And honestly, I might give it to Lamont here. Like, genuinely, Lamont's been popping off this map. I think you just double down and try to end this thing.
The real question is, where does Surreal go with this Jetpack Cat ultimate? That's the real question of the day. Nano onto Diva. Much to our dismay, we'll love to see it on either of the Cassidys here. Oh, you're right. One Cassidy did get it, but one measly boop right into the water. Shuts it down wholeheartedly. We love Cassidy. We really do. But my man has one movement skill, and it's to go right forward. And he was not getting out of that.
Yeah, it Glitch just ran into Kingdom Come to eat the whole spawn, by the way. That's incredible, as Kez is just trying to do everything they can to keep the harassment going in the background over on LCS. Eventually he's able to do so. His point is going to flip back over, and Zeus is going to have to commit a touch here momentarily.
He's setting up for it. He had the Mega Pack there set up in case he gets a little, outpoke beforehand. But otherwise, Rico gets forced out. That does activate overtime at the very least. And now what is the option for Santiago? This is the pressure we're talking about. How do you deal with a 99 overtime fight here? Well, we're going to see one go down. That means Lamont, who did have the Deadeye. Then we're going to see the D-Mech forcing the bomb to get used right around the corner. While we're just engaging, though, we're losing out on pivotal members of Valparaiso. Losing the Kitty Cat. We also lose our Ana on the other side here with one really well-placed, just annihilation on that back line. And thankfully, Santiago does go for the flip here.
Yeah, and Kez is kind of single-handedly keeping this fight alive right now, but it's going to take so long for everyone else to get back. Burt's, like, around the corner, but I don't think Glitch is going to be able to sustain. Glitch goes for the bomb, though. If they remech, it would genuinely be a miracle. And they do. They get back in, but they're going to be knocked right back out. So I don't know what you do here at this stage of the game, because you figure this fight should be done, but Lamont doubles down with the Deadeye. Or Burt, for that matter. Oh, my God.
That might be the craziest. Well, that's not what we want to see. Well, that's not good. That my Tracer. Listen, it happens. They got their one. They got their one round win for Valparaiso. So Santiago getting the 2-0, of course. But again, these names don't really matter. They're just names. They're gonna swap around. We're gonna see different players working with each other. I can't wait to see. First of all, learning the dynamics of a tryout like this, a very high caliber tryout, in my opinion, right? Because the humble 3.3 tryout. Very humble. We'll keep it that way,
Yes.
This is so much more. And as a definitely not like 4.3 player, 4.4 player, these guys probably are. I love seeing this. They're all playing the same compositions, showcasing their strengths, maybe some of their weaknesses as well, where they struggle with the comps. And the comps are kind of weird. Jetpack Cat and Ana, interesting. Never thought about it before. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, the thing is that you want to see as many different things as humanly possible. That is what you want out of today. That's what you want out of this entire weekend, is see what everybody can do. Because the point I made earlier with everything with Team Turkey was you could go out there and throw them on the Zarya Vendetta for 2 hours, And it's like, okay, they could look good on that. And then we wake up next Tuesday and it's like, oh, Vendetta surfed to the ground. This comp no longer works. GG. But we've already settled on our team. What do you mean? That's not how this works. So you need to find not just the best players in the lineup, but also ones that are flexible enough to where that we don't know what the meta is going to look like in 4 months. We have not the slightest clue what direction we go. We could all be playing Winston Dive in 4 months, praying to God for that one. But
praying.
it's a situation where you have to be ready for anything to be the case at that stage of the game. But with that, as many players as they have that are trying out this weekend, I have no doubt that they have the ability to find those 7 players in there to be able to lock in what they believe is the best roster. Which, that reminder that unless it gets changed, because I'm pretty sure it's still the same, the cap for these rosters is 7. Which means you can't have a straight backup in every single category. One of these teams is going to be, hey, you are our 2 or you are our 1 tank. That is an inevitability.
No, for sure. I didn't even think about that. Like, yeah, it's only 7 slots, and you can't. Maybe a flex tank and flex DPS. You know what I mean? Like someone that can kind of do a little bit of both, a little bit of one thing. But otherwise, you have your 7. You're gonna have your guaranteed 7 after this weekend. I can't explain how excited I am still. Like I am just like I'm geeking. I'm cheesing out the entire time we're watching these trials, and just seeing the level of play, this is making in real time coming in for all these players who could have played a couple times together, could not play, with this person before or something like that, right? Maybe they didn't play this character before, but they're forced to mirror it. It's just like the adaptability is absolutely insane. I could only hope to achieve in my humble career, right? And we're waiting for map 2. Looks like we are getting a couple of people swapped out. So I think in total, 6 people can be swapping between Valparaiso and Santiago, team 1 and team 2. I see Volition already being put in, Gray Bear putting in, FX and LCS so far are still chilling in the lobby, but a lot is deliberating to be said to see which of these 9 tank trials, 9 by the way, will get us a chance to play today. Oh my goodness. It's so many.
Yeah,
you need the whole weekend.
Yeah, you do. With this many players, you obviously do. And Volition, hey, Mott. Shocker. Former Factor X player. Big shocker. As I see that coming through. As that audio just came looking through. But I'm pretty sure this is just a replay. Am I wrong for this assumption?
Yeah, I think it's just maybe a highlight reel. Yeah.
Oh yeah. So we'll leave that as it is. But back focusing, I will say, Volition, former Factor X, played with them for quite a little while. But actually is still playing with them because when a lot of the Factor X crew transitioned over to Dilpados, a lot of Peru people took over. When it came to the new Factor X, so people like Diego, Freyak, Rodrigo, that are going to, I think, competing in their own trials for Peru in a short period of time here. But Volition is the sole Chile player on that team currently that honestly had a pretty good performance this last season of FACEIT League. Didn't make top 4 for playoffs, but I think considering the teams they were going against did a really good job. And I'm excited to see what Volition could do, because Volition worked really well alongside their tank Surreal and Diego, their fellow DPS compatriot, which I hope to see a little further down the line in the Peru trials. But it'll be interesting to see, because Volition has tried for this team before, as a matter of fact. Played in the open trials back in 2023 for Team Chile, but as we brought up earlier, didn't make it, as there was a whole different squad that was playing in 2023. And 3 years removed from that, they're hoping to do it this time.
No, for sure. I'm excited. I love the storylines, even though we had a very, very long break between 2023 and 2026 OWWS. But I love it. I love it. I'm just here for the vibes. I'm here for the chill. I'm here to see everyone play their absolute heart out. And you have to also play your heart out. There's no slacking from any of these players today. You're representing a whole country. Like, are you serious? I don't know. The concept of representing your whole country is like the Olympics. I think that's also, I'm so like revved up right now, because the Olympics are like some of my Winter Olympics are some of my favorite sports to watch, specifically the figure skating. Oh, we won first place. Oh, in women's freestyle. Ooh, I love it. Like the idea of representing a whole nation, a whole country, a whole group of people, and just putting your whole heart and soul out there, regardless if it's traditional sports, regardless if it's esports, right? This is what it's all about, genuinely. And oh, I can't, Hunter. I'm actually gonna like lose my mind. I'm so excited. I feel like I'm performing absolutely nothing, but also so good.
Yeah,
So
no,
happy to be here.
yeah, because we have every right to be excited, not just for the different teams, but also just for each other, honestly, that we get to experience this. Because no matter what capacity we are or aren't involved, the fact of the matter is that we're going to be able to watch the World Cup this year and Overwatch. And
Yes.
that's a special thing because we don't live in the days of like early Overwatch League where, oh, we know we're going to have it every single year. Lots of things happened in 2020, ladies and gentlemen. Lots of things happened. But the fact that we're getting it this year and the fact that you see so many people on social media, so many committees being formed, everybody being pumped up for it, that is something that me as a player, as someone who has gotten to see a lot of these people grow over the course of the last year, that the fact that they're going to have an actual opportunity to potentially be on that big stage, that brings me a lot of excitement to see that.
No, for sure.
To see what they're going to be able to do. To players that had been popping off the last couple of years that weren't necessarily in the scene as much during the last World Cup, and now they have a really big opportunity to be in that situation because obviously there's like the teams you think of that they're gonna go pretty far. You don't know who's gonna pop up now 3 years removed from the last one. Maybe this team Chile, maybe they are a team that goes top 16. Maybe you don't know at the end of the day. You can only watch and hope and be like, yeah, this is awesome.
Heavy on that, right? You don't know.
Yeah.
You don't know who's gonna be on these teams. You don't know who's gonna be trialing out. Like some of the lists of the tryouts are only coming out now. And every single time I see a list, I'm like, these are people I don't even know about. That I feel like I've been robbed of knowing who they are. I want to know these players. Like, where have you been, bestie? What tournaments do you compete in? Where are you just a ranked god? Like, where are you? I need to see these people are, and this is one of the best places to do it is watching, being able to spectate these tryout matches, regardless if it's here, if it's from Senju, like whatever, wherever you're able to watch this, like it's so fun, man. And also on the note of like releasing all the community managers and people that are involved in the actual team building and all that jazz, I'm seeing people that like I'm friends with on these committees, getting the opportunity. I think low key, outside of community broadcasting for Face It and co-streaming for Face It, I think being involved in OW and the World Cup, right, might be one of the most accessible ways I've ever seen someone get into esports and into the greater space of esports as a figurehead, community manager, data specialist. Oh my goodness, social media manager. Stuff like that, right? It's so cool that it's just open. You can just apply, and you can just throw your hat in the ring, and see if you're gonna be on the committee for America, for Germany, for Chile, for Peru, for Brazil. It's so cool, dude. The accessibility is something that I have always loved about Overwatch esports in general.
Yeah, no, it's something I'm always really excited to see. As I'll kind of throw the highlights in the background here. But it's always really exciting to see, in a lot of situations like this, what we can see come of it. Because it's always going to be unexpected to some degree of what you're going to see. But there is that level of participation. No matter what you are, whether you are a caster, whether you are a viewer, whether you are a pure esports enthusiast, there is something for you when the World Cup comes around. To the point where there are some people that have come back around and doing a lot of this stuff, and it's because of the World Cup at the end of the day. That catches people's attention. Like even my friends who they play Overwatch at a time, they don't know anything about the scene, and they message me like, "Did you know the World Cup's coming back, dude? It's coming back. We're so back, dude. We're back." And I'm like, yeah, we are definitely back. And they know how excited I am about it, and I know how excited they are about it as well. But it's gonna be great, and I'm gonna enunciate that for the next 4 months at the very least until we get to a wild card, which again, dates haven't been announced yet, so stay optimistic as to when those will come forward. But it's exciting nonetheless because we get to experience that, and in what realm that is, obviously we don't know yet. But one thing I do know is that we still get to see all of it go down, and that in itself is a gift.
No, for sure. Like I could not be more more blessed in my life to have. I love that I was born exactly right now to watch Overwatch. Like I cannot. I'm being so serious. This is not like a joke. I am so glad I was born when I was born to watch Overwatch like come back. Like we're back. The amount of friends I've gotten where they have not played the game since maybe season 5 of Overwatch 2, maybe even earlier than that, or Overwatch 1, right? Overwatch 1, the real one. And
Yes.
now I'm getting DMs. You want Q? You want Q? We're back. It's back. I'm gonna play the game again. I love season 1. I love Overwatch. We've never been more back. Oh, I know. And guess what? We have the World Cup too. Like it's just everything is starting to fall into place, like slowly for Overwatch. Like we are slowly coming back to being like the esport of all time. And I missed out the first time, Hunter. I didn't watch OWL. I didn't. I wasn't a fan then. I missed out. I'm getting into it and I'm so happy.
Well, you know what else is really easy to get into? Our next map, because it is here. Yes. We are ready to go. We are headed into Coliseo, and we have a couple swaps. Obviously, we saw from earlier, a lot of them from Team Santiago have been swapped in. You have, like, DKR, who's in the situation, formerly a T-Time player, big Argentinian team, but, again, the sole Chile player for that squad, looking good. Volish, you brought up earlier, former Factor X as well, in the lineup, so... Again, having new people in here, it's been exciting to see what they can do, and we get to see the Domina come back up as Zyphus over on the cat.
Oh, only one cat this time. No mirror match indeed, but there's some overlap, right? We have the Wuyang from both sides. You've lost a cat though. Dreams takes them out very, very early on. DKR having gotten a first elimination earlier on as well. Dreams just pushing up. The Rock puts him down for a little bit, but you know, Domina, she don't go down no matter what. She is always going to be staying active and ready and just kind of pushing Sigma basically to the brink of his limits. DKR, ooh, a beautiful first elimination onto FX here. And a very long fight is transcending as we keep talking.
Yeah, it's going to keep going like this, and these fights are going to remain a little chaotic. That's the nature of, honestly, just this region in general, but also the nature of these comps as well, as you're going to say Draco Black be able to get the pick over onto Ghost of Chile, which is going to just continue to let this cart inching forward more and more and more and more and more. But eventually, with all these ultimates online, Mott, eventually something's going to break the camel's back. Someone's going to pull a trigger, and everything's going to go crazy from then.
Well, we have some to pull. We have the Tidal Blast coming in from both of these Wuyangs. Also, hearing the Spanish version of the ultimates is absolutely hilarious. Was not saying that for a second. They're completely forgot, right? But that's going to result in a kill into Volition. Goes to Chile, not looking any worse for wear, having to self-freeze while we have the Flux coming in from Pack up in the Skybox against the Continue Rush from FX. But eventually diminishes. Pack comes back down to Earth. Gets hit right in the face by Dream. DKR follows that up with a great overclock, which is really, as mentioned, it explodes. And when it explodes, my goodness, that was like all the ultimates besides the Blizzard being used all in one fight.
Yeah, 100%. It's extremely exciting. We're getting into the next one, though, pretty soon as that cart's starting to head back the other way for the first time here. As excited to see, again, more and more of these names throughout the weekend. One I'll bring up right now, Zybe, who hasn't been around for, honestly, quite a long time. Was on Bushido way back in the days of South Korean contenders back in 2020. Been a hot minute, but again, this speaks about some names that come back for the World Cup that put in the grind to be able to be on the biggest stage. It's phenomenal to see what they can do. And goes Chile is going to go for the Blizzard out the gate as Polish and goes down with the ship.
Oh, no, we can't be walking to our... odds are, Zybe probably also walked into the Tracer with the pulse stuck onto them, getting a double whammy, 2-for-1 deal. But Santiago looking and working only with the Sigma and Sojourn. Pakovic, of course, not going to go down quite yet. Not going to go down without at least a little bit of a fight there, getting at least one before inevitably going down to DKR once more, who gets a double kill in of himself. Only 26 meters, over to Santiago, 49 meters in favor of Valparaiso. And again, looking pretty solid with Draco already having another Deadeye ready and loaded for this next engagement.
Yeah, 100%. And you start to bring back the they differ a little bit here. You get to 26 meters. It's something at the end of the day. And the fact that this bot hasn't been pushed until now means you've given yourself time to set up, but the enemy also is being given time to set up. You have Drago, who's going to be able to have this Deadeye ready to go. You don't have anything to really speed you forward for the engagement much, but this allows you to buy a bunch of space to give yourself a better opportunity in this fight, and especially if you get the Panopticon online for the Vendetta, or not the Vendetta, but the Domino that's used pretty aggressively here.
Ooh, losing out on goes to Chile though, not my favorite. Zybe does have the barrier online if need be, maybe versus the Deadeye. But we're gonna, hey, if you're gonna wait this long, we're gonna use the rush. We're gonna use the barrier. We're gonna also use the Tidal Blast to protect our Flux Domina, and this all just results in a nothing burger fight really for Santiago. You've invested ultimates and it unfortunately does not go your way. In fact, they're being pushed basically past the checkpoint area, and ideally you're gonna get a couple of these late staggers. Are you wait, you're ahead of me. There's no way. There's no way. There's no way. There's no way. A four-piece?
What? First of all, I would refresh really quick, but what? I'm at 450 right now.
I 450. Okay, I'm 2 seconds behind you. Oh my god. Oh my god.
That's I'll clip that later on. That's gonna be great. But that is insanity, by the way. I am brain frozen right now. Let's continue with the fight right here. As we are moving forward, this thing's basically cleared up though. I did want to talk about something a little bit earlier, but that just threw my whole brain function off.
No, you're so valid, because I was just chilling, I was vibing. It's like watching sports with your friends that you were talking about with me earlier, and they see something really cool, and I'm still a second behind. I was still getting there. That was so cool though. What happened? Four-piece pulse bomb, dude. It doesn't happen every day.
I want to find a replay code later on, but LCS might not need one as they get to pick over onto DKR to give Santiago a chance here to pull things back a little bit. But as I say that right now, Zybe now goes down as they're trying to build it up to that Kekai Sanctuary. Unfortunately, it's not the case. The one thing I wanted to bring up earlier is because of the way that Kekai Sanctuary works, you can't heal directly into it, so they had to give Pakovic the tidal wave just to stay alive, because it's the only thing that would go through it.
Wow. See, I'm still trying to wrap my head around these the everything new with the newest patch. Now it's been a week or two now, but it's just seeing Mizuki being played at this level in the tryouts is, I think, a little bit risky because he's so new. But if you feel good with it, go for it, right? But otherwise, if you feel good with Domino, dang, you're gonna press Q. You're gonna continue walking forward. My gosh, and if you can walk forward from the front end and from the side comes Volition, just completely wreaking havoc onto every single person, even trying to walk out of the spawn room. The characters are very sneaky overclock though from the spawn area. A little bit of a kill onto FX, so rendering the team of Valparaiso with only the Wu Yang, and everyone else from Santa is trying to trickle in. Pack now goes over to Diva just to put some pressure and get the touch in time.
Yeah, but that was only about 240 left over on the clock here. And this is going to be a really rough one to bring back, obviously. But you need to take it one fight at a time, see what you can do. You're going to have the Artillery Strike. You're going to have the Tidal Blast back once more again. But Drago, again, with this data online, that can buy them so much space, so much time. There's great ways to utilize this. But more than anything else, Valparaiso has been really happy to take a lot of these 50-50 fights because they don't need to finish the map here. They can drain the last 2 minutes on this clock by just winning a fight, losing a fight, winning a fight, losing a fight, winning a fight. That's the way that you would think it's going to go down, but being in a trial like this, you would love to finish the map, to have that bit of confidence going into things further.
But you can't do it without a Diva. That's the big thing here for Santiago, and then you're getting followed up on by everyone else. My goodness! Please leave Pac alone. I'm begging y'all, let him breathe. Let him get up, let him get up, let him get up. Nice. Ooh, the aim from LCS on that, by the way, was so beautiful into DKR's Tracer. My goodness. And then, of course, as mentioned, Drago Pac going to be finishing it off nicely onto the kill. So, that being said, some check marks online here as we now move back over to the bridge.
Yeah, 100%. And now we are approaching the minute 30 mark, and we are in, again, bonafide territory. You see the separation with the artillery strike to force everybody back, and now you throw in the Tidal Blast. You need to find somebody somewhere, and Drago, honestly, is a perfect person to get.
Great way to start a fight off. Maybe even end it. it ended before it even started. If you really think about it, the entirety of Valparaiso are trying to run away and lick their wounds and just stall the last minute. It's a couple of extended staggers though. DK not too bad, but FX, that's a pretty good one.
Yeah, that is a really good person to get at this stage. But still, you have to be nearly perfect from here on out. That's how things have to be. And you don't have a lot of ultimates that are good for initiating. If you do, if you're a Valparaiso, you definitely do, but you don't burn anybody away. Santiago's really smart to try to keep everybody out, but unfortunately, Sam gets taken down regardless.
Okay, this time the post I'm not going to get 4, as unfortunate as that is for both of us. But there is going to be a couple of trade-offs happening, notably both of, well, one DPS, if not, I think both. Actually, DKR also got out of the fight, taken down early. Mind you, I didn't even really talk about the fact that we have a Bastion coming in from close to Chile to at least put some more pressure onto Valparaiso. It hasn't seemed to work too well in their favor, but otherwise, 20 seconds left is all that remains, Hunter. And look at here. Here comes Jacob Black going down first. That's big.
Oh no! Dreams gets rid of 2, and Pakovic, all they can do is try to remech inside the bomb, and the moment they remech, they get blown right back out of it. And now they take that later death, and now that's that. Time at 0. Nothing you can do about it. That is an unfortunate way to lose that one. But honestly, it's a really good display out here. As I'm gonna bring it back to us, it's incredible. Actually, yeah, let's see the perspective here. Actually, I'm gonna shut up for a second.
Oh, here it is. Here it is.
Oh, they just all back up into each other.
Oh my gosh.
Oh.
They were just all just surround. Even Ash and Netter are like,
Yeah, like they know what's happening here.
It's so blatant. Just one measly OWCS floor pulse bomb versus 4 players. Who wins? Oh,
who wins? Who wins that?
Good. It's too good, dude.
Oh.
It writes itself. It
yeah,
just writes itself.
Yeah, because you'll hear a pulse bomb come out, but as you know, there is a specific style when it actually sticks to a person. You hear that thing. If you don't hear that, sometimes your brain doesn't like auto react. Where if I hear that sticks, I'm like, I need to go a direction. Go up is my thing. If I can go up, I'll go up. Because whether you have competed before, whether you see other people compete, the thing that you are told 101 is that if you are stuck with a pulse bomb, hand off the mouse, hand off the keyboard. You stay where you are. Nope. Okay.
Yep.
I'm dying here. Let's try not to take anybody else with us. Unfortunately, when you're in the middle of a packed crowd and you don't realize this situation, I don't think there's anything you could have done there to prevent that from happening. Again, the pulse bomb's on you. Best thing you can do is stay where you are. That's unfortunate. But for Volition, I mean, that's something you hope for. That is something as any player, but I think especially a DPS player, having a really cool moment like that is defining in its own right.
Yeah. I think that's also so good to mention is just like what we're looking for all the roles, right? And when you think about the most defining characters, it's always gonna be. I always think fight shifting and game shifting characters are your DPS, flipping around engagements, flipping around the fight. A lost fight becomes a one fight because of one good overclock, one good deadeye, one good blade, right? And you're right. If you as a DPS can get one really fat kill in that kill feed, no one cares how you did it. No one cares. The blue with 4 people by a pulse bomb looks insane every single time, especially for a tryout of this caliber. And you forced also your power to force not just 1, not just 2, but a good amount of swaps from the other team, from the other players, I should say, from the other players, just because you're doing that much on Tracer, you're doing that much on such a Mosquito-esque character. I'll say a Mosquito character, you know, and that's powerful in of itself. That's something to know genuinely in these trials.
Yeah, you do have to know. It's really important to go into a situation like this having that level of information. Mm-hmm. And I think as things keep proceeding, because this was the same case as, again, I'll play a little bit of the good old whatchamacallem. Well, actually, no, never mind. I have been rage
they
baited.
they keep swapping.
But oh man, I'm trying to remember my point now because it was a really good point. I bet it was. But
keeping information and keeping track. as we
Yeah,
were
I
talking
was
about.
I was gonna build off that into something. So I'm gonna segue as best I can and hope that I remember halfway through. So
Okay.
going into a situation like this where you do these trials, the biggest
Hmm.
thing is that you take the first couple maps, I think, with a little grain of salt at the end of the day,
Yeah.
because you are going to see as players continue with these trials. I think they're going to get more comfortable, and you're going to see what they're able to do. Because you're not for these World Cups, you're not watching players develop over 4 days. You're going to watch them develop over 4 months. So if you
Hmm.
see like, hey, this person dramatically improved over the course of 2 days, what can they do with 2 months? It's really important to see. So there are some players that maybe we don't talk about as much, like map 1, but then we go like map 5 later, and it's like, oh, they're partially carrying their team right now. They're doing great. And that happened earlier with Turkey. I think at least somebody is going to come to mind today when it comes to these tryouts, because that's just how it goes. That's just being a player. Sometimes you're a better player in map 5 than you are in map 1. That feels more common than not.
No, you're right. Genuinely, you become better as the game as the trials progress, as the scrim progresses, as the match progresses, in real time. You make it these that's it at the high level. They are so good at making small adjustments to their gameplay that just makes them play better. And that's really what separates a lot of these players from between the pro level or between this level of play versus your average like high diamond low masters team, right? The ability to make these changes so quickly, to adapt on the fly, to make quick adaptations too, not just being like, I'm gonna swap, but we have 25 seconds left of the match. And you've been
Yeah.
and we've been struggling the entire time. You know what I mean? They swap, they make the changes, they say, hey, this is gonna work better. Zybe, for example, going over to Mizuki over Jetpack Cat after being double linned by, I believe, Draco
Yeah.
multiple times in a row. It was like, okay, we're gonna swap immediately after, and then we're gonna do another swap. We have Ghost of Chile going over to Bastion off the May. Didn't really get much with Blizzard, right? Even if you're losing these fights, these are still good things to make note of. My goodness, I mean, these are still good things to make note of. Is okay, losing team, what are they doing to adapt? And because that's everyone loses at some point,
Yeah.
and everyone is in that spot. How do you deal with that? Oh, you swap, you make changes, you have good comms still. That's great, So it's not these trials, especially if someone's watching, they've never, like myself, for example, who have never really been or watched a trial like this to this caliber.
Yeah.
Everything's important, not just winning, not just the stats. Every single thing you do is so important. Every decision you make, every situation you're faced with is so important with how you handle it.
Yeah, it is, and that's the same way with just scrims in general. One
Yeah.
thing, honestly, in scrims, it's better if you don't win sometimes. Genuinely, that is how it goes, because you want to see
Yep.
what are we doing wrong. If you go into scrim and you roll them 6-0 and you go on your day, it's like, that's cool, but what do we learn? What do we learn from that engagement? Because I would rather wake up one day, go for scrim, get rolled 0-6, than wake up for my game and go 0-3. That is my mindset.
Yes.
Let me screw up during
100%.
that scrim. What am I doing wrong? Let me learn it now, so I don't have to learn it the hard way, where I might not get a second chance to try to do it differently at the end of the day. And I think a lot of these players tend to feel that way as well, because whether they like it or not, whether we like it or not, what they can do is largely represented as to what we see over the course of the next 3 days. That's how it is. Especially the players that aren't as like publicly playing in a lot of things like Face It or Andromeda. That's just how this is going to go. And it's obviously unfortunate in its own right, but at the end of the day, that is how things are. But you just have to go into it, give it your all, because there's, as you can already see, there's a lot of talented players down this region here in Chile, and there's every reason to be excited for every single one of them.
Yeah. And this makes me more excited for all the other regions, Chile, into Puerto Rico, into Germany, into Argentina, into all. Like, I am just so excited. And that's just the ones that I have kind of been mostly aware of that are doing trials and like are being more social media, uh,
Yeah,
having more social media presence about it. Some of them are a little more low key, like Team America. Don't know what's going on with us. I don't know what's happening with us at all.
there's two big committees. That's all I know. There's two big committees, and they have not
Yep.
decided on one yet.
They have not. Yep, exactly. I don't know what's going on with us, but that's okay. And other ones I would say a lot of South and Latin America have been so good at being super communicative about trial dates. Here's a form. Here's this. Here's that. Here's this and that third. It's been big shout out to them. Genuinely, like super easy to find information. Super easy to get in touch. Again, going back to the accessibility of how accessible this esport really is. Overwatch specifically is. I can't talk on Valorant or any of those, right? But I can talk on Overwatch. It's chill. Everyone's so chill, dude. So chill. I'm like, hey, you want like a little coaching? Oh yeah, of course. Who cares? I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
you only got like nothing else? Just yeah, okay. Is that easy? Oh, like, anyone can do it. Really, it's so cool. I love it.
Yeah, like anyone can pull up for things like Face It. It's like, hey, here's my stuff. It's like, bet, here's your thing. It's like, okay,
Yeah.
awesome. Like, I think one of the sadder parts is that some people don't realize how simple it can be to get involved in certain things like that.
Yep.
Even if you're someone that's on the newer side to casting, you can get involved in that. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I'll encourage people. It's like, hey, if you want to get experience in casting, because obviously I always say like, go to CHL, go to SBCS, go to PPL, obviously like our usual leagues. But one thing I told them is that if you want to go and cast, go and do Face It League. It is the easiest thing in the world, and you don't have to go and do all the big master games. You can go and do advanced, open, expert, and be like, all right, let's pick it up from there. But as exciting as that is, I am more excited about this game here. Map 3 Online. We'll talk about the new people in here momentarily as this first fight mod already starting to go underway here. The teams have changed up a little bit. We got some new people in, and the Vendetta and the Zarya are on display for both squads. Again, that combo that is so deadly to deal with.
Yeah, there's the battle of Volition and Pun Pun. I do want to note real quick when we're coming back from game 1 into game 3 now. The introduction of Black Wolf on Soldier, Miz on the Zarya, Kenz is back and gone alongside LCS, who has now swapped sides to Santiago for at least Suravase here. And in the meantime, everyone else from Santiago has unfortunately been done, and Dust and Nika the only one left for the count, and there they go. Great opener here for the side of Valparaiso.
Yeah, it is a fantastic display this early on to really show what you're able to do, and something like that is obviously shocker important to start strong and try to get up on the right foot here. But obviously, when you go to something like the Zarya and the Vendetta, there's not much you can do in response. You find it right there. FX just gets run down because this combo is just so deadly to deal with here. As this fight already feels kind of lost for Valparaiso.
It is, and it has a couple of stragglers coming through. We do see a loss of Pun Pun, so it does even up to now a nice 4v4 situation. Losing out LCS, then Miz, and that's what you're talking about. It kind of just felt lost at some point, right? And I do want to mention real quick the Vendetta versus that Wu Yang from FX, sending him to the spawn early on. Not only is it such a strong composition, it's also such a, it's so good at following up. After you use all your cooldowns, after all your movement abilities, Vendetta's still right there to finish you off every single time, man.
And 110%. And obviously, excited to see where things will obviously keep going from here. Miz, someone that is shy to competition as well. Last time I saw them compete in the most recent version of the Face It League Showdown stuff, which I also played.
Okay.
Fun fact.
Ooh.
But we'll get a little more on that a little later on. As there's a giant Graviton Surge and a beat from LCS to sustain him through it.
What a beat into the overclock as well, but then you get stunned down by the Tidal Blast, and that does result in actually not a kill onto Nika. It's resulting on a kill onto Black Wolf of all people, right? Who had the overclock, so you don't have that damage output in your favor. You don't have that burst damage to humble Santiago here, as they do continue to keep the point in their favor. Valparaiso only 70% away, and they had to use something. We're gonna see if Proyecto use the continued rush, but then we die during it, and it all ends up for naught. Santiago cannot hold their own. Well, can they actually? Hold on, but the backline can do some crazy things. Nah, Black Wolf came in with overclock and set fire to this building.
Yeah, and that should be this point. You would think it'd be figured out, but again, you have Volition over on the Vendetta that is fast enough to go and force a touch. You just have to do it without any supports. But they're set up for it. They can do it, but you need some of the person that has the most survivability, and that is indeed the Vendetta. You could dive in if you're Kez, but that's going to be a rough one to come back from, as we end up getting through. Zybe needs to come in with Extended Rush, as Kez gets with the pulse, has to stand still.
Has a stance. Great showcase of how to do a pulse on, by the way. Just stand completely still. Hands off keyboard, hands off mouse. Don't freaking move. Otherwise, the rest of the fight does go kind of unexpected, right? A couple of members from the side of Valparaiso actually going down, even though Santiago working without a tank. Doesn't seem we're going to get another pause, unfortunately, from Kez here. Reminder, was the one that needed the pause a little bit earlier on Lijiang Tower, so I wouldn't be surprised if we're still seeing a couple of issues on their end with these constant server issues we've been dealing with.
Yeah, it's been a very consistent thing, and I will say,
Yeah.
for my lovely people here, below the equator, it tends to hit them a little bit harder sometimes. I want to say the
Yeah.
hemisphere, but it's like no, I'm
No,
using
that's
wrong words here because it's just, you know what, we'll have a geography lesson after the game, but in terms of right here, it has affected them a pretty significant amount, and I'm being very real about that because that's what's affected them, and we've seen it on display everywhere, quite frankly. And it's obviously not an easy thing to deal with when you have server issues and you have to struggle with having to deal with specific things. But
No, for sure.
what I will say at the end of the day is, regardless of that, they still persevere through it. Like, obviously, these issues hit them, but they always figure things out. And I know that's not necessarily a thing where it's like, oh, everyone's willing to try. Everyone's willing to force things and see what happens and fight for something, obviously. But, again, as is apparent to very much you, Mod, over the course of the hour and change we have been talking about this, how much these players in these regions mean to me down here. Being able to see them come in here and play like this, I'm gonna be a real softy about this, man. I'm being all sentimental over here, and my whole point is that it's been really good seeing them persevere through a lot of different things, and them all still being here, competing at the highest level. That makes me really happy.
Listen, I my very first team, which ended up getting second on the main broadcast for Konglang Heroes, right? The very first time I trialed for them, I was on 600 ping, trialing against somebody else, and I still got in. Like, you gotta hold that. You gotta persevere, you know. And that's only for, like, at the time a 2.5 ish, maybe a little bit 2.8 scrim at that time 2 years ago. But these guys have been playing at the higher level for so long. They're used to these problems, you know. I think that also a big thing is this is gonna sound weird, but you almost kind of want these things to happen because you need to showcase that your mental is unshakable. That, oh, I might have some internet issues, I might have some server issues on my end. My momentum is still there. My adrenaline is still good. I'm still calming. I'm talking about ultimates. I'm talking about what we're gonna do this fight. I'm still fight planning, and you know, that's also something to know, because tech issues, they happen all the time, especially in OWCS. 1 hour tech pauses happen. Anyway, and you gotta figure out how to deal with it, you know?
Yeah, and I think teams and players react differently to pauses as well. For some people, it can kind of slow their momentum. For others, it can give them a bit of a mental reset. It affects everybody differently. Every player, even casters to an extent, it affects them too, honestly. That's just how it is at the end of the day.
Can I be honest? During Face It, when we were doing Euro quick, there was so many pauses. I was so glad because we got a break at like 3 maps in a row. In the meantime, Volition goes into the sky, comes raining down the Thundering Blade, finds 2 of your most important members of the team, Sojourn and Kiriko first. That's insane. What's Weon and Tracer going to do by themselves? Nothing. Neither is Knees. Taken down as well right after the fact. The retreat is there for Pun Pun FX as they have to go back and lick their wounds. Santiago open things up on Ruins really effortlessly.
They really do. And it's a beautiful display because there's always the sentiment of one-on-one. It's like, oh, we take the fight on the point. If you see somebody or a couple people off on their own, invest, go for it, make it happen. You see it right now. They're going to push past this initial thing and try to run down Black Wolf as FX is the first to go down as a result.
Like I said, at least they trade off. Like, they avenge FX in the meantime with a stick headshot from Proyecto onto the... Whoa, what is Suzu? Oh! And a sound barrier to boot. Oh, my days. That's how you do it, man. That's how you do it. Oh my goodness, that was a beautiful Suzu.
That's a rough way. You do everything right to stay alive right there, and at the end of the day, it works out beautifully for you. And sometimes you have to. If you're in a grab like that and there's a pulse bomb, you need to throw everything you have in that bucket to try to live. And now you worry about a retouch right here. Pun Pun is the only one with, I think, even a relative shot at getting to this point right here to try to maybe keep them in this and put yourself in a 2-0 position. You see Pun Pun going for it, gonna try to pursue it, but they're gonna come up just high enough to get the touch. But unfortunately, Mott, I don't know if it's gonna matter.
not sure. The prime on my back line. We do see the point starting to drift away. There we go. There's a touch I'm looking for coming in from Santiago to ever hold this point in their favor. Pun got away with a little bit too much for a little too long on Ruins, but Santiago with a cleanup and a 1-1 scoreline here, evening up both of these trial teams and even getting a little bit of an extended stagger, not just onto poor old Black Wolf, but again onto FX, onto Proyecto as well. My goodness. And they want blood. They want blood.
Yeah. Oh yeah, you need to double down. Again, Miz knocked out of the mech. He's gonna have to just take the restart. It honestly is lucky to have the shot right there where you just say, I can take my reset. I can take my death. I can reset with the rest of my team. You can probably get back in here before the cap fully goes through. You have the Gutsune Rush. The problem is that Zybe has the response ready for it, so it's going to be on the back of Black Wolf to kind of double down in this fight and be able to find something with the overclock. But we'll see. As for the time being, Santiago has that point unlocked as they're willing to go ahead and fight.
Oh, and Predator actually has the first get onto Volition of all people. Probably one of the worst. Oh, and your Kiriko's gone, and your Lucio. What an overclock from Black Wolf. Yeah, you go down in the middle of it, but you have done your job. That's all that matters. I have gotten my trade-off. I've gotten my kills. I've gotten what I needed. Santiago will be able to hold on to 30%, but it's going to get flipped around by Pun. Oh, there goes Miz. I think now Pun's left in the engagement. Here comes the team coming in. Oh my god, they jumping you. Back up.
Yep, and only 10% at the end of the day. Rough, but again, 10%, 7% at the end of the day. You do what you got to do. As Kez has been pretty aggressive on this Winston so far, as you lose Black Wolf early, so this kind of shuts down Valparaiso for a little while. They're going to have to wait for Final Fight territory. But again, you have the Gutsune Rush because Zybe used theirs. Proyecto did not. So you have that advantage. But unfortunately, with the beat on Primal Rage in suits, there's a lot of sustainability alive for Santiago. And instead of sustainability, it's aggressiveness.
I love it. A good aggressive sound barrier to push onto Black Wolf. Even again, we're seeing that Suzu come out consistently from Zybe to make sure we don't go down early to nonsense for Santiago. They're going to get a good 100% here. No one can even touch in the midst of the fight here, especially as Miz does get the D-Mech and also the bomb and gets a reset as well with the team. But otherwise, not get the wave respawn, unfortunately, with FX. But otherwise, Santiago, great work. Again, Proyecto unable to use that check mark, man.
Yeah, unfortunate. And I'll bring this up really quick because we had a little funny situation earlier in Turkey. Remember, we are on a scrimco, which means all 5 points of Flashpoint do get played. So even if you see Santiago cap this third one right here, this will proceed to the fifth one regardless of that. There's a certain player that didn't know that, and it was a really funny moment. But I'll talk about that during more break time. But you have to consider Rush as Nika is unfortunately just being cornered and is lucky to still be alive.
For only a little bit longer. Yeah, that overclock was not going to get anything done when you have a D.Va just kind of speeding at Mach 5 speeds, right? So Santiago, even though having to use a Primal in the midst of that engagement, will unfortunately find nothing else to boot here. It's gonna be Valparaiso. Starting things off very strong on Ruins, or on Ruins. Arguably one of my favorite submaps of Servasa, and honestly for good reason. This place to hold is so nice.
It is so nice. It's there's something aesthetically pleasing about it for me personally.
Yes!
I like the way that it is. Because there's no good place to take a fight. There genuinely isn't. This entire area does not exist. But you have to make it happen anyway. But you have Proyecto, again, with the Gutsune Rush here ready to go. Zybe not quite there, and you're going to see Black Wolf go down early, and now you're going to have to fight back here.
They gotta, and they basically just lost their tank as well. Volition, looking a little worse for Rare Games, getting a little bit topped up by the backline, and of course, Nika just with, oh my goodness, with a beautiful, just into your face. Nika, please relax.
Yeah,
oh my gosh.
Big chill moment at the end of the day. But yeah, I mean, 70%, obviously that's great. You're coming in with all 5 ultimates. It's going to come down to your supports. You have to sustain through that. You need LCS to get this beat online so incredibly badly right here. Because if you have Valparaiso and you are tracking these ults to any small extent right now, you know how much of advantage you have and that you need to go at this very moment.
Again, another solid Suzu. That might not have been too needed because I think they were kind of spread around the pulse bomb, but otherwise Black Wolf chased down consistently again. Nika in that kill feed. Finding a name for himself, finding so many opportunities to be like, look at me, I am doing the work on this character. Real shot to FX. Just as I say that, what else do you have for us? This Sojourn is to be looked at. Everyone else, however, is just working around it so very well. The bomb comes out. We're able to get away, but once again, the shutdown happens. from the Sojourn every single time. Not a single death during that entire engagement.
Yeah, and you maybe get one more touch from Pun Pun right now. It was kind of forced away as overtime will not be forced as we'll head to our 5th and final point here to finish things out. As you see the quick swap as Miz is over on the Wrecking Ball. Again, maybe a thing of like, maybe they know, maybe they don't. Maybe there's some critical information. And yes, critical information I think was lacked as they'll swap back over to the Diva for the 5th and final point here. But I guess bright side for Valparaiso, while they use so much, the Kitsune Rush is still available, and Santiago have not anything for an immediate response. You have Overclock, Pulse Bomb, but you don't have a beat or a fellow rush to kind of throw back. So if Valparaiso play this correctly with their aggression, they have a good chance, especially as Volition misses out on the Pulse Bomb.
Doesn't sound on it, but Blackpool picks up right after the fact with a headshot right onto Volition. So he can try again after respawn, buddy, but otherwise it's a 3v4 situation, slowly starting to regress into a 1v4 here for Valparaiso. Unfortunately, you know, you're going to be staggering out the Diva a tiny bit here as we do get the cap. And now, yeah, this is a very extended stagger here. There it is. There's the elimination.
Yeah, yeah, as a tank player, that's always painful. I feel every ounce of that pain right there. But either way, you're going to be able to see the reset come through here again. Again, you still have the Kitsune Rush. LCS is right around the corner from the beat, though. So again, if you're you know what's going on, you should see an aggressive fight here on the corner in a few seconds with that Kitsune Rush. Take a fight over the point, and that's exactly what's going to happen.
Nice call there. You can see exactly, yeah, the rush came in at the moment you basically called it out. And we're going to see the sound barrier as a response, and LCS just kind of guns down FX in the meantime. My goodness, just said, you need to leave. I need to keep this point up for my team, and the rest of the team follows suit. Yeah, losing out LCS, or LCS, excuse me. Not the end of the world, because guess what? You win the fight, you get to get a little bit of the stragglers as well from Proyecto and onwards, and Valparaiso are now back in the spawn room, only about 85% to go. That's not a lot of time at all on Flashpoint, especially.
Yeah, and now you're worried about even getting a touch here at the end of the day, because you could try to get somebody in beats used. They're going to rush for the point, unfortunately. This is just going to be just short, so that's going to be 4-1 on that one right there. Again, Santiago going to take that one. And obviously, that's a pretty dominant one for them, all things considered. It gets pretty back and forth at times, 100%. But you had someone like Nika in right here, which, honestly, again, one of those names that I'm not as familiar with, but comes in here on that Sojourn, looks incredible throughout this display. I mean, the combination with Volition and Nika right now has looked fantastic, and it's hard to deny such a thing.
No, I agree with you.
Wow.
They were, I don't know, that little group, I liked it a lot. You know, we've been seeing Volition kind of pop off. Just second map we saw them on push, now going to serve us, so they got kept in a little bit longer, and then people coming in, and sometimes it also was kind of fortunate that some of these players are not, they're sitting down watching, not warmed up, going up against people who are warmed up, and then vice versa, you get unwarmed up, and you know, it's a whole back and forth, and you gotta figure out how to adjust that. And the 4-1 here for Santiago, specifically for Kez, who did technically quote unquote lose round 1 of Legion Tower, map 1 Legion Tower, came back. Okay, it shows that that's not always a performance, you know what I mean? It shows that different synergies can always make things better or worse, or just kind of neutral, like, oh, it's kind of mid, you know, it's whatever, right?
Yeah.
And I think this comp with that Santiago, the comp that with these players was really solid. Like, it felt they were just super intertwined with one another.
Yeah, that's exactly what happened. And now the bright side is, as if you saw there from the feed over there, we are getting a bunch of people coming in on this one. Obviously, I think some returning from the first couple of maps, but maybe some people that we're seeing for the very first time tonight as well. Again, we don't have a sheet breaking down each map, unfortunately, but maybe I'll make something like that later on, because I wrote an article last week, which is my first article, which very happy about that.
Congrats.
But thank you very much. So it was a lot of fun to write. But the biggest thing is be able to display what all these players could do, and it was about the Portugal-Iceland show match that happened, because those were two teams that looked so good against each other, where you saw both the ability to kind of bounce back from situations that felt unwinnable at times, where they were really down in the dumps, and it's great on them both to pull it back. I kind of want to see this from some of the people coming in here, because obviously, as I'm just calling them as Chile Red and Chile Blue on the screen, there are some players that maybe haven't gone off on the right foot, and obviously you want to give them every opportunity to show, hey, this is what I can do in a situation like this. This is what I can give you. This is how good I can fight back. Because that is still an extremely important trait to have on a player. Because it goes back to the conversation I have about I'd rather go 0-6 in a scrim and learn where I messed up. Because if you go
Yep.
in this situation, it's like, hey, I don't have the best situation. If you can bounce back and learn from that, and you come in tomorrow and you pop off, you know, like, okay, this player will fight back. If things aren't going right, they will keep going and they will give me their all.
Oh, what a Suzu. No, I completely
Yeah.
agree with you. Um, on that note, it's just been insane.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, as the nights go on, as the night goes on, as the days get longer, tomorrow, Sunday as well, with a little bit of an earlier start. So I wouldn't be surprised if they go for a little bit longer because they're starting a little bit earlier.
Yeah.
You're gonna see these guys get even better and better, more warmed up, more to. It's gonna be funny. They're gonna get used to a couple of people that may or may not make it. Right? They're gonna get
Yeah.
used to people that make it that they're like, oh, we were kind of okay on Rune Sapia day 2. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So
Yeah. Yeah.
it's gonna be really really interesting how these rosters develops. The more if there are more short matches that are able to be scheduled and happen between some of the players and the countries, like it's gonna be a fun time, man. This
Yeah.
is this is the most fun. It's like Overwatch Olympics.
Yeah.
I'm so about it,
It,
man. I
it, it,
love
it
it.
it literally is Overwatch Olympics, and it's wonderful to see. And fun fact, this just came to mind way back when. Way
Yeah.
back in the glory days of Get Good, they did a
Oh, get
actual like
good.
Olympics World Cup kind of thing, where everyone
Yeah.
was like representing different countries. They played a bunch of different like mini games and game modes and like custom workshop stuff. That was so much fun to participate in. And I know every time I talk about something like this, I'm like sound like I'm blowing my own horn, but I'm just stating the actual facts here, Mott.
No, you're
We
totally
won that.
fine.
We won that as Team Japan. We did win that. We won the whole thing. It's the first thing I ever won in my life. But that's not important at all. But obviously, as fun as that is, there is also the obviously the side we have to accept in a situation like this is that it's exciting seeing so many players, but that means that there are so many players that aren't going to be able to be in a position to get one of those spots. I think since you brought up earlier, there is a grand total of 28 players that are trialing for Team Chile, and unfortunately, there are 7 that are going to get through. And obviously, with that limitation, it's rough because there are definitely more than 7 players that are going to deserve it, that are going to be able to play in that level. But you need to find the 7 that are going to fit your situation the best. And again, it comes with things like mental, like flexibility. Like I could have the best hit scan in the world, but if they have a terrible attitude, you might view someone that, yeah, their skill is slightly lower, but this person keeps the positivity. They keep the comms going. Those are both really important things that you have to consider at the end of the day, because we've seen some players that are really good in the past that turn out to be not great people, and there's no roster in the world that wants to deal with that.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Yep.
Heavy on that, right? And the point of like 28 people go in, only 7 are gonna come out by the end of this weekend, or however long it takes to deliberate between the heads, the team heads, the team leads, and see who they want, right? It's gonna be the most agonizing like week of my life. Week 2 weeks. I don't know how long it's gonna take, but it's gonna be agonizing, and I might like actually throw up. I'm so excited. Like that's how excited I am. I just want to see who gets in. And you're right. It means 21 players are not gonna be part of Team Chile, right? And that's the unfortunate part. But it's also the reality of scrimming, the reality of trialing in general.
Yeah.
So it's a big opportunity, and from what I've been seeing, now introduced into the South America and Latin American scene for Overwatch, like very recently, these guys are so fun. They're a little goofy because format pulse bombs don't come out about every day, and I think Zybe saw that last time and said, I'm not gonna let that happen ever again, and did not let a single pulse bomb go through all of Saravasa. I'll give a quick shout out to Zybe for that one. Now we do have another push map coming our way here, Hunter. We have Runusapi, a very, very, very big favorite for a lot of these teams here. And now we have a big difference of compositions. We have Kratos, who we were looking at a little bit earlier, talking about how we don't really know who this person is, right? So can't really see what they bring to the table as a tank trial.
Yeah, Kratos is going to be extremely interesting to watch in this situation. He's honestly been around for a pretty long time. I know them best from Andromeda, where we saw Zeus earlier has played alongside them. So that's gonna be exciting as these our teammates, they know each other well, and that does kind of matter because again we talk about LCS and Senses being that duo on Pumas. You have that experience and pedigree together, and that does mean something in a situation like this where you have that experience, but LCS unfortunately gonna be lost early on here.
Yeah, that's something I've been noticing has been a little bit of a common thing is LCS being, I think, just outmaneuvered or outsped on the Wuyang. We're starting seeing him go over to Lucio instead. Now we're going to also see a cleanup of Kratos and Zeus. By the way, if you have a team, you have both Kratos, the Son of Sparta, the Ghost of Sparta, excuse me, and Zeus on your team, yeah, that's complete aura. You got that.
Yeah, they are from I believe it was Team Evo A, I believe that they played on back for the before we got in, like fully into things. It was the Liberatores de Overwatch, if I'm remembering correctly. I'll work on my pronunciation later. But either way, this fight's going. It's continuing forward right now as Dreams get back in on that diva as well. Excited to see as well. Unfortunately for Kratos, burnt down.
Not even had the chance to block or anything like that. I think just kind of being completely out damaged by basically the entire team of Santiago. Graber, first time on the stream so far. Ooh, I see yourself to the Reinhardt. Kratos, don't tease me now. Don't tease me.
Listen, we're gonna get teased in the situation. And we're gonna love every little bit of it. Let's keep it a buck on that one right there. But we'll see if they continue on from here as close to getting that check mark and is literally like a fifth of a meter away from getting it, by the way. And so now if you're Kratos, you cannot get off that card unless you're willing to surrender that kind of advantage.
Or your life. Look how sliver of HP that Kratos has left, and there's just not enough care between the Lucio and the Kiriko to help him out whatsoever. Santiago are just running through this ruinous lobby point with very minimal ease, right? You have the orbital ray coming up, they have the diva bomb for remag, about to have a blade mirror between themselves and Zeus here, Mino-kun. Oh my goodness, 7 whole minutes. Only 3 minutes of the last, but there's the D-Mech. Not gonna commit the bomb here though, Hunter.
Yeah, not going to commit to at the end of the day, and all things considered, that's gonna be alright. But Surreal is gonna go ahead and invest here with that orbital ray as Mino-kun is just gonna try to go wild here.
Gonna go wild, but also gets mirrored by Zeus out. Great Bear also having to use the overclock, so I will take a little note here as we do get a couple of last-minute eliminations and staggers onto Valparaiso, who did in fact lose that fight at the end of the day. Santiago expending both the DPS ultimates. Not my favorite.
Yeah, I like the initial introduction of Surreal going in on that, which former teammate of Volition, we look back at that. Guess what? Factor X. New Factor X, though. Let's be clear about that. Very big team in South America. Let's make that very apparent if it wasn't so already. But I like the additional engagement, but there's a lot invested in this fight, so now you only have that bomb ready to go, and now with the beat, they're just going to go on the aggression, and Stream's just going to have to take the bomb and reset.
I mean, it's a good reset, though. Because at the very least, you didn't have to use bomb last fight, so you got a free remake off of just the basics of the regular fight. FX would not be able to back away from LCS, though. Nice little boop kill to get the elimination. But otherwise, still a little bit of a trade-off, right? At the very end of the day, Santiago is still maintaining progress on the objective, still maintaining lead, especially over 100 meters difference between the two, right? And only now do they back off and give Valparaiso a little bit of space to work with.
Yeah, just a little bit to work with here. And Zeus over on the Emre, by the way, which we one of the characters the new characters I don't see a ton, but it's come out from time to time. Has a really good ultimate with the override protocol. But we'll see if it needs to come in display as Bird's gonna try to clutch this one back, being down 4v5.
Kratos just, I didn't even see his HP go down. It just kind of went to nothing in seconds. Unfortunate for Valparaiso, again, losing out on the bot here, losing out on progression. Now regaining it is Santiago, who are very close to actually going right back over to that barricade. Zeus not going to show us anything of the M-Ray, taken down early by Surreal of all people, especially within that orbital ray. The damage output, especially with a torpedo, the torpedo pulsators, my goodness, and everything else. Yeah, you kind of just explode so quickly. Kratos, again, not even in the fight, twice in a row now, has to go to Queen just to get the speed boost out.
Yeah. Yeah, that's just a rough one right here. It's trying to run it down, and now you're only a few meters away from trying to cap this through as Burt gets rid of FX, so they are going to stem the bleeding potentially, but the problem is you have to keep throwing bodies on that bot and push it back as Burt honestly just gets a really nice fight there. Really good finish.
You know, Burt woke up. You know,
Yes.
Burt was pretty standout. I want to say on Legion Tower as well, playing the mirror of the soldier and into the Cassie, right? I think just needs a little bit of re-warming up between those maps. But otherwise, we are now going to reset back to the middle of the objective here. Blade in hand from Minokun. Nothing of note from Valparaiso, so they got to hold this. They have to kite away as quickly as possible from the overclock of all things. Not even the blade comes out. Just a raw, very, very pointed ray over, or shot over at the M-Ray. Zeus down for the count. Same thing with Racimo Valparaiso. So maybe a little bit of a 1v1. Yeah, nice little clutch up from LCS there.
Yeah, LCS is known very heavily for that Lucio play. 110%. And obviously, you have to clutch your way back into this. 3.5 minutes may seem like a lot of time for push. It really isn't, especially when the lead is as brutal as it is right now for Santiago. But one thing me and Dex love to initiate when we talk about push is 50-50 Overwatch, man. Because right now, if you're Santiago, you are fine with winning a fight, losing a fight for the next 3 minutes. Because it means it's eventually going to go your way.
You're gonna become it's gonna become a stalemate, and I think it's one of their fights that you talk about. We have the Blade committing not really onto anyone but Kratos, a very low Kratos that is, sending the Jungle Queen back to the spawner. Now looking over at LCS, who is trying, desperately trying to fight back. Could not do so, and the rest of the team is just going to start to fall down like dominoes. Not actually be able to slide away to safety is Burt, who does have the overclock in tow, but they lose out on senses right as your queen comes back. You don't have that rush, you don't have the Suzu, you don't have anything to keep this queen in the fight, so Burt has to expend the overclock just to get some pressure out, but it's not a tank trade-off and orbital rate to boot.
Yeah, and you see Zeus Override Protocol already gets rid of one, is gonna help clear things out eventually. Surreal gets one on the way out, but it's just them and Minokun hanging around, so this is inevitability. But they're killing time no matter what. They're hanging around, taking off as much from the clock as possible. 2:15 left. Valparaiso does have to invest the overclock earlier, and then obviously the Override Protocol to pull that one away. But now you're coming up on a really massive issue. Dreams is getting pretty close to that grab, and LCS is not on pace to have the grab ready for it.
Yeah, that's the worrisome part. Well, we're gonna see how they figure it out. That's the whole point of this trial. That's the whole point of this kind of scrim-esque environment here with these with this. So here comes the rush. Zeus with a beautiful counter FX with the projectile. Then comes in Gray Bear elimination. Okay, we're waking up last minute and a half. Better now than never. Okay, that's what I always say. We're gonna leave this fight to be lost for Santiago, but it also still falls into win, lose, win, lose. They won last one, lost this one. They're okay with that.
Yeah, you're fine with this. And obviously there's still a bunch of meter ridge left, but you don't want to let this get away from you. You have the Graviton Surge, and obviously you want to try to go in this fight and shut it down. LCS is right around the corner from that beat because of how that fight went with Dreams kind of being in a position where you couldn't really use it without it being essentially a borderline throw, you know? But now the opportunity is starting to come for you, but Burt, another early elimination!
So that was just beautiful. The setup between Burt and Zeus there. Grab does get committed either way, and it's a little bit of a trade-off, right? Losing Zeus, losing LCS. Gray Bear up on the high ground finds a double whammy with that kill, but then Kratos again wakes up. The Queen was the answer all along. 44 seconds, all that remains, Hunter, and they're starting to bring it back. This is definitely doable. Hard, but doable.
Yeah, you need to get this as far as you can, and then you need to make sure you have all 5 left. And if that includes backing out to get all 5, that's what you have to do here. Because as you look over, you're trying to get a couple people back. Zeus is pretty far behind. Getting the Override Protocol is going to be extremely important, and Kratos is kind of in here, and the beat has to be expended, and they're going to go aggressive.
They have to, because they have to use and supplement Burt's overclock, which does get the value they was looking for. Gray Bear down again. 4 people down for Santiago. Wait, this is a big clutch. I love a good clutch like this. Oh my goodness, Santiago. They have ults though. Valparaiso has nothing but the Rampage, maybe, and a Dream.
Yeah, that legit a Dream. You're going a Zero right now where those orbital rays have been nothing but spectacular thus far. You need to be able to clutch yourself if you're Valparaiso. And it's going to be Kratos having to be aggressive and catch people out early here. Right around the corner, gonna let it loose immediately.
Oh, it's just Dreams, who is anti-nated but has a bubble to at least self-cleanse. The blade goes into the back line. There
They
goes
took away the
Zeus, and we
they
have
took the
all
bot away.
stepped off of the
It's
point, has
so
been
good.
snatched away from their noses. That's like an assisted C9. I'm gonna start calling it that. An assisted C9.
Yeah. you figure we would have a term for something like that, for stealing the bot like that. You'd figure it would exist, but I don't think it's happened on the grand stage before, where it's like, well, what do we call that? Because we know why we call it an Ajax. We know why we call it a C9. We'll find it. We'll find a name. Something will happen this year where we can attribute some name to it. But either way, one thing that's really important to bring up is Valparaiso, what they're able to do in that. Because remember, they were down 130 meters, and they brought that down to a 20-meter situation, where it came down to one final fight. Unfortunately, you only catch Dream with that Rampage. Well, for every bit of your being, you needed to catch Surreal with it, because that was the one person whose ult was going to just make it essentially a no-win situation.
Totally agree with you. I mean, the Rampage versus Orbital Ray is a very classic counter to it, because, prior to what is now, it used to be, it would do taxes for you, it would do your money for you, it would work for you, it would bathe you, it would do everything for you, right? It was healing you, damage output was insane. So Rampage has always been a very clear counter to it, but you're right, only getting Zarya, one of the only tanks who can self-cleanse a Rampage, right? And disengagement almost entirely off of the off of a self bubble. It was unfortunate. It was unfortunate for Kratos, and I would love to see the Queen come out a little bit faster. I think Ram is not a bad option at all right now either. I do think that it may be just the composition just didn't really work into what Senteco was going into. With Graber also in the very first half, I would even say the first 3 quarters of this game was just on the ball, constantly rail shotting into the Ram, into Winston, into everything. Kratos couldn't play the game until literally the last minute and a half when we swapped over to that Queen, and the Queen was exponentially better than the other 3 we had seen from him.
Yeah, 100%. And again, you're gonna see different things come out today. You already have seen like these players very willing to make swaps. It's like, hey, we need to try something different here, because there was a time where Santiago, the squad had 5 minutes left on the clock and had a chance to end things right then and there, but it doesn't happen. Kratos makes that swap over to the Queen. Things start to go their way a little bit. It takes a lot to have to fight back, but it's the fact that they hold on and they persevere and they push that thing almost the course of the entire map. It is a really good trait that I think all these players share in the situation, that they are able to fight back and nearly make that their own. Unfortunately, obviously, it falls just short, and there's only so much you can do when you're going in with such a big ult disadvantage on your final fight. But the one thing you give, I think, Kratos in that last fight is you're willing to pull that trigger first, because in that situation, going to an orbital ray, you have to be the one to pull the trigger first.
Yeah, you have to. And we saw that a couple of times. Valkyrie was trying to get to the swing of things of pulling the trigger first and everything. But at the end of the day, especially when it comes to overtime, Tiempo Extra, I don't know why I never thought about Spanish overtime, but Tiempo Extra is mad funny. Anyway, you gotta realize how to attack those situations, and you just gotta, gotta get into it. I will say, I'm actually looking at our little sheet here of all of the trialing players. There's only one true main support trialing for main support, and it's LCS. I just realized that Zai, Proyecto, and FX are all also trialing both support roles, main and flex. So I think we've been seeing them kind of bounce around a lot. That's a great flexibility to have. I can never play main support. It's too hard as a flex support. They got it.
Yeah, it's really funny in that sense. But LCS has really been that hard main support player for every team I've seen them on, for everything I've seen them do. And they are one of those players which, again, I'm not giving any player more or less love than any other. Just I've been able to see them compete so much over the past 8 months. But that Lucio, they are truly amazing at that Lucio. The level of aggression they're able to take, the amount they're able to dictate pace, is a really important trait to have as a Lucio. Because having flexibility is amazing, and LCS definitely has it in spades. But being able to be on a character that is so prolific like Lucio, which I think you could make an argument the most prolific support in the game. I don't think that's a big exaggeration. Being able to dictate that pace and the style on that character, that is so incredibly important. and being able to show that is amazing. I think FX kind of falls into that route as well. I think we saw it a lot, especially in the first half of that map on Rotosapi. It's really important to have at the end of the day. So I don't have a closing point for this, quite honestly. I'm gonna keep it a buck, y'all. I don't, but I'm just saying there are a lot of things you have to take into consideration going into these trials as a coach trying to decide what is best for my team, what is best that I build around. You have to take every factor into consideration.
You really do. Yeah, no, I think you said it pretty perfectly. We've been harking about it all night. Is just every little thing, even if you're winning, losing, if you're kind of like very evenly matched, they're looking at everything. Every little thing you do, every decision you make, cooldown usage, things like that, right? So important. And we're going fast. I appreciate that. They're going super into it. I'm trying to see. I think we actually have seen everybody from DPSs and supports so far, except Tokyo.
Yeah,
Tokyo is. Yeah, I'm about to say Tokyo is the only one that we haven't seen yet, and I'm excited. That's a hit scan. Sojourn, boom. Tanks, we have a little bit to go through. You know, it's a big roster, and maybe they come tomorrow. It is what it is, ain't what it ain't, right? But let's talk about it. Tokyo coming in, exciting.
Yeah, Tokyo, only thing I remember them from before is that they did the World Cup trials last World Cup back in 2023.
Okay.
And obviously I know those players that, again, didn't get through. But it's our first time being able to see them, as everyone else, as you said, has already been in at least one map thus far. And I'm excited to see what we get out the gate here, who, as Tokyo is just immediately taking a quick little nappy nap. It's important in times like these to get some good rest. But we'll be able to get out alive for the time being, as it's going to be interesting seeing the dive here. Because Glitch, I've seen Glitch be on the Stiva a lot in previous affairs, and I think Kez has proven what they can do on the Winston so far today as well. So I think it's a fantastic matchup for them both.
Yeah, this is a really good team fight here between both these rosters. Tokyo, unfortunately, taken down by Lamont. Again, Ashe on this point specifically is such a great pick, and it really good if you know how to play Ashe at this level. Of course, all these players pretty much do for the most part, right? So, with that being said, fun, finding a kill into senses and the natural matchup between the Ana and a Genji, and usually goes to Genji's way. Fun,
yeah.
Gonna be able to hoping that thing's that easily up for Santiago, as now we have secluded the Brig and the Diva in the hotel area or the market area.
Yeah, and obviously it's a good situation for them. They are in a position to cap things really early on, and Volition just goes into that sleep and is able to survive, might be able to retouch. Unfortunately, they just have to give it up and reset instead, especially with Glitch out of the fight, as they will go over to the Winston, which honestly, given the scenario, I think that is the correct call.
I'm gonna tell you right now, Volition was sleeping for 5 entire seconds. That was just enough time to get that cap. And I mean, again, caught lacking by FX. That was actually insane. Again, Tokyo not really showcase any of that Sojourn prowess, constantly being looked at by Kez, by Pun, by Lamont in the hit scan mirror. LCS has to back up from his Genji, though. I think, yeah, being hit up with the Ana. Beautiful stuff. Basically keeping this high ground pretty much free for that back line. Now you have a Winston. What's the response? Well, move him away. Your Winston comes back. Now we have a little bit of peel.
Yep, a little bit of it you'll do it now. Pun's going in with that Blades. Gets one, gets two. That's all you need to try to clear this one away, as that card's going to keep moving forward.
The Nano Blade. I didn't even peek that it was Nano Blade, but it was so well timed. 4-minute time bank, by the way, Hunter. A couple of ults could get a touch here, but the Bob could be a stop to it.
Yeah, that is amazing. Just to have this amount of progress for this team right now, they're looking great, but still, it's not locked in yet, as you're going to see the Nano want to glitch to try to get something here.
Once again, we're going to see that kill into Tokyo. Nano on Tokyo, which I do always like, it gives a little of that Primal back over to the Winston. In the meantime, we're going to see a rally and a Primal from the opposing side. LCS, of course, rally has been expended and used. The Primal is just there.
Oh, no.
As a dream. And it does find a little bit of a juggle onto LCS in the corner. Now we can kind of start finishing things off for Santiago on, ideally, is what you want to see from Kez, who is just getting a double kill. Maybe now going for the Ana all by themselves. Senses, run away! And we're out.
Yeah, at least for the time being, we are out as LCS and Senses get back together, but one's burden gonna be barely kept up. And now, as again, Senses just gets burned down late. That's really rough. you're finding so much value because you're not keeping Projecto over on this Brig. You are going at the Kiriko because you want them to be able to go with someone like Kez, like Pun Pun, so you can keep a certain level of aggression without being capped by where your Brig on it is at. I think that's a situation you're kind of dealing with if you're Glitch and Volition, to where you are getting cut off and there's not a whole lot you can do about it.
The insistence to stay on the high ground too is the confidence pouring in from Santiago, and only now is because they're forcing the Primal is the only reason they're even off the high ground right now. Mind you, Continuous is on the field. It's a little bit shorter than usual, so not gonna get all the entire use of it. Unfortunately, Tokyo has woken up. Rail shot right to the noggin for Pun Pun, and that honestly should be the kicker there. A little bit of a breath of fresh air. Glitch! Oh, I say that too soon.
Yeah, got a kill, need to take a nap afterwards. Just does not work out, though. But Volition is able to get out alive. At least momentarily got out alive. It's kind of hiding, needs some care. Eventually we'll get it, as another nap being taken. LCS, the poor recipient of that one. As you have the people to be able to go in and get the touch, you have Senses and Tokyo combo coming up here with the Nano, but it's going to go to Glitch instead to make a little bit of space. You need to get somebody on this cart.
There's a Nano. Winston has to be the one on the car. Overclock comes in as
Tokyo?
the amount of time needed to stall, go for the stall. Tokyo's overclock is bigger than we expected. Look at that. Double kill on the back line of all things. The best possible outcome for this defense. Both of the back lines are also gone for that kid. By the way, a Primal comes in. Juggles Tokyo in the corner. Suddenly 3 are down. What do you do if you're Volition and Glitch?
Yeah, that's a really rough fight to kind of lose right there. Now you have to throw bodies on. Glitch is nowhere close right now. Cleanse for Kez, who has to jump out momentarily, so that's going to stem the bleeding for just a few seconds here. But if you're LCS, this rally is your savior, honestly, for this entire team. It needs to be used correctly, especially with Pun Pun coming up to their blade once again. I know there was a Nano with it before, but it popped out before, and it has every reason to potentially do the exact same thing and end this round.
No, for sure. I love a good rally versus a I don't care if it's a Nano Blade. My Brig wins that every day of the week. I love my Brig. Let's get into it. The rally and the upcoming Primal are both really big factors here for Valkyrie. So we jump over the barricade, go straight to the objective. We get a kill in Tokyo. Okay, one clear down for Santiago. Who's next target? LCS. No rally. Can't even pop it in time. Now the Primal has to be used just to go for the stall. But can we get there in time? Yes, but Glitch is stuck to stay on the payload for so long. Pun Pun finds kills anyway with the blade. And as you were talking about how impactful this rally could have been, the target priority of Santiago was unmatched.
Yeah, and that's a rough situation to have, because I think one of the worst feelings is not being able to use an ultimate, especially when we get in Final Fight territory. It's unfortunate. But the bright side is you get the chance to bounce back from it now. You get to go on the attack right now if you bow Paraiso and try to get something here. Because you saw, I think, them really waking up towards the tail end. I think Tokyo, especially, who, again, is the only player where this is their first map. So, obviously, you take certain grains of salt, you let them wake up a little bit. I think we definitely saw that. But for the time being, the thing we'll notice is that Kez is coming back on the D.Va this time around. Saw them pretty prolifically on the Winston during that, and I think it was working out incredibly too. But at the end of the day, remember, players are going to try different things, because the coaches, they need to see different things. If you are the best Winston player in the world, that's great. But can you play D.Va? Can you play Sigma? Can you play Ramattra? Those are important things you have to realize, especially if you go into a solo tank environment.
Yeah, that's the thing. You gotta be so flexible, you know, and I feel like most dive tanks do have a good plethora of like characters. You know, you'll get your weird ones that play Doom and Ball, and you're like, okay, we can work with that a little bit.
Yeah.
Some that are more traditionalists, like the Winston and D.Va lovers of the world, and then some that just like really love Hazard. Don't know why. They really like Hazard. That's kind of the archetypes I've divided dive tank players into. That being said, Valparaiso kind of getting held. Again, LCS taken down first on that Wu Yong. Might have to go back over to Lucio. Maybe just kind of keep up with the rest of the team here. But Valparaiso have now gone back to the spawn room. Need to regroup, and the Brig has made a reappearance yet again.
Yeah, and honestly, I don't hate it at the end of the day. There is sustainability from it. Especially now that you have the D.Va, you're going to be a little more grouped up than the initial things like you would with the Winston. So I think it's a solid take right here, but your biggest thing is going to be helping clear these high grounds a little bit, because this card needs to progress, and you can't just put your Brig on the cart if you have someone like Pun Pun, like Lamont, even FX, constantly shooting you from the high ground. You need Glitch to be able to deliver a certain amount of pressure to alleviate it, so you can start wrecking together some of this progress as their backline's being obliterated.
They are, because while you're seeing the dive from Glitch happen, everyone's from can happen. Oh yeah, no, from Glitch. Sorry,
Ooh.
people are just dying, right? And the attackers, yeah, you lost Sense, you lost Volition. Toki, I believe, also going down since it has now also fallen off. You can what? Over there? Where
Yeah,
was FX? I was not paying attention.
FX is big chillin'. At the end of the day, as Projecto also is going to stop over back to that Brig to match it. So I like this. But now, you're coming up to Ultimates pretty soon here. Pun Pun's going to have this Pulse Bomb. The double Self-Destruct is also going to be online here pretty soon. But that Nano is going to be important for both sides, too. Especially, you go into a situation where you get thrown on someone like Tokyo or Volition, or maybe Pun Pun. But Lamont has the ultimate stall tool with that Bob that is ready at any moment, as Lamont is playing back as far back as he possibly can, trying to stay safe.
Pun Pun is in their bag right now. The pulse onto the Brigida. Unfortunately, you know, it could be on the shield, could have been on the Brig. Either way, it gets the kill at the end of the day. We're also going to see the kill onto Volition in the meantime. So a little bit of a extended stagger here for Valkyrie. So Santiago looking so good, man. Good attack, really solid defense coming in from their DPS and their tank. Even more so, Ken's, I feel like it's always there to meet these guys wherever they're setting up. Look, goes over to the high ground, sees the Brig, gets nanoed. Still looking in for the Brig, but now has to change direction over to the Tracer instead. Maybe forcing a recall. Not going to find it, unfortunately. Trust the team to keep themselves up, and they do so easily.
Yeah, 110%. Looking great so far. Minute left on the clock here. It's going to be tough to deal with as Senses gets the Nano, wow, but unfortunately dies directly afterwards.
Yeah, even in sleep, I think, whiffed on the D.Va there, so unfortunately had, like, or even got eaten by the defense matrix, I want to say, so they couldn't even do anything about it. Hopefully they can, you know, the Nano is there as a Nano and Prayer more often than not. The Prayer, unfortunately, not going to find too much with it. Either way, the rally had also been committed, and all we got in response was a humble anti-nade and no other progression from Valkyrie. So, and there's the pause, like maybe a disconnect, might like maybe something going on. You know, Kez is in, and they are typically my first culprit, unfortunately, so hopefully they're okay.
There's maybe a bit of a what's the word? Maybe a connection between between these points. So hopefully we'll get that settled pretty quickly here. But the one thing I'll say, and let's keep this in mind, by the way, everyone's been swapping around. People have been swapping teams. People have been going in and out. Maybe the name Valparaiso is just a curse to some extent. You know, the little theory of mine. Maybe it's just a curse. You know.
Maybe
it could be a joke, because it'd be really funny if we just swapped teams entirely and then Paraiso still ends up falling behind. It's just a funny point that I had in my mind. But speaking more as to what we're actually seeing and what we're actually experimenting, it's been really exciting to see what these players have been doing, and someone like Kez, who again is one of those players that I'm not highly familiar with, but
yeah,
I think so far has been one of the more consistent players of the day so far. Has shown a good amount of flexibility and has really kind of been showing what they've been able to do. And again, in an environment where there's so many tanks trying out, being able to stand out this early, that is extremely important to have.
I have to agree with you. Kaz is maybe one of the team players that I do remember off the top of my head. Just without looking at the list, right? Other than that, I do think of like Glitch, for example, mostly from map 1. Because I was the only person that could outperform Kez in that matchup, right? But Kez, whenever he's on, you know, or whenever they're on, it has just been the Kez show for more often than not. And also, again, the flexibility is so important. Because we were kind of talking about it earlier in the very beginning of Dorado. You know, can you play D.Va? Can you play Winston? Can you play all these different tanks? And Kez can. Kez can, and Kez has, and can also play different compositions, you know, between dive, poke, and brawl. I think we've seen a little bit of everything from him. Of course, I can actually add a new poke tank, or quote-unquote poke. We have Domina that we did see from him on Lijiang Tower. So, you know, he's already showcased, or they've already showcased so much flexibility in their role. Again, we have a couple of tanks that have not had the opportunity to come on the stream quite yet. We haven't seen Dark, we haven't seen Proper either. So, we can still see some room for new faces, for new talent, of course, to overtake. But right now, yeah, I'm right there with you. I think Kez is a real strong contender for me, at least as a maybe a main tank,
Yeah.
if not sub position.
Yeah, 100%. Because there's no guarantee it's going to be just one tank. Because maybe you go to a
Yeah.
situation where it's like, hey, we feel so confident about our two DPS or our two sports that we can afford to have that second tank to have a level of extra flexibility.
Yep.
Because it's one thing where it's like, as a solo tank, you need to be flexible. But if I have the best Winston in the world and the best Ramatra in the world, you know, if I'm that confident in either one of my sides, I double down and I go with both of them here. But obviously, we'll see how things are going to go throughout the weekend. We are back from that little breakage right now. Is 30 seconds left on the clock here. It's basically their final fight. They need to win this to keep going.
Yep, and Kez just respawned or spawned back in. Did unfortunately get disconnected. Is all good now. Got slipped, but the touch does come through anyway. We see Lamont is getting a little bit out pressured on the high ground. Has to re-engage from a little bit of a difficult lower angle here. Otherwise, we have just 3 meters left. I almost say 3 minutes. 3 meters left, only 13 seconds to go. What's going to get used? Glitch hones in on the Ashe. Lamont is out of the way. Now we have the rally being used just to make sure we have that extra output to stabilize a little bit in the fight here. Glitch is teetering on life and death. Does choose to go the bomb route, and it's going to be a couple of kills actually onto FX, but Pun with one measly pulse bomb finds senses, and suddenly you've left Tokyo with an overclock that is finding so much value. Oh no! That's it. That's it.
No,
I thought it was a mutual kill for a second. Lamont jumps in victory by being the shutter down of Tokyo. Dude, that was crazy.
Because Tokyo clutched that up. That almost should have been them, but literally by like 5 health stays alive. That's really unfortunate. I will say Tokyo, I think got really good as the map improved. I think had a really good display on the Sojourn, especially the second half of things, but that's rough right there. And it's good in a situation like that to see no panic for Lamont. Just to close that one out, to realize, hey, my health may be 10, but I'm still going to get this kill. I'm going to try to shut this down right there. Because even if it is a mutual kill, that still ends the round in the match. That's what it does ultimately.
That's what I thought was at first. Yeah. No, sorry. That's what I thought was, because the map is red. Ashe is outlined in red, and I just saw red because when you're low on HP in this game, their screen starts to tint a little bit red, right? And I just assumed that they both had a mutual elimination, but I didn't see Lamont die, and I was like, wait, what? I didn't understand what happened for a second there, but then this Ashe stands on the payload and this shroud of victory, and it was the most cool. It was the coolest thing ever. Actually, I'm not gonna lie. But what a hold from Santiago as well. Ken showcasing or Kez showcasing a plethora of flexibility, as you were talking about earlier. Lamont not even showcasing flexibility, but only just the consistency of that Ashe from defense into attack. And you mentioned it really well, keeping a level head in those clutch moments where it's just me and the other DPS, whom, again, I am trialing against technically because they're both in the same spot. That is big marks for Lamont. That's huge for him in that moment.
Yeah, that's massive right there. Because again, it's literally just I'm kind of looking back at the preview for my own stream right there. It literally gets within 5 to 10 health in that thing.
Yeah,
and if that's got a shot hits for a quarter of a second more, we're probably still talking about Dorado right now. Unfortunately, obviously, isn't the case. But it's a phenomenal display for them ultimately. I think for both of them, quite honestly, it's big points for Lamont, but it's big for Tokyo to show that you go in your first map where you're cold compared to everybody else, and you warm up pretty quickly, all things considered. It's really nice to see, but at the end of the day, obviously, hopefully we see a little more. Remember, it is a long weekend. Some players that you've maybe seen too little today, or maybe that you haven't seen at all yet, you're going to see them play throughout the weekend. Everyone's going to get their fair shot to come in because trying to fit all 20 people into one day is just impossible. And there's no way to really give anybody a sense of momentum in a case like that, where a sense of momentum, again, is one of those important things. Can this person that came in on map 1, can they do the same thing 2 or 3 maps later? That's an important note. It really is.
No, you're right. There's 28 players signed up to try out for Team Chile, right? And again, Tank being the biggest of the tryout spaces, and then everything else. We've seen everyone at this point for way. We have not seen Ronyoso. I don't think we've seen Ronyoso on the his scan quite yet. So there it is. Yeah, one other person we have not seen unless we're going by a different name in game. Um, Otherwise, we've seen all our flex DPSs, all of which have really showcased their own like their own talents and their own what they bring to Team Chile. Pun Pun, I believe, Pun Pun and Volition in that spot together is gonna be a really a big nail biter from what we've been seeing from them, because they I think were in the most. I think they each had around 2 to 3 maps.
Hmm.
For themselves. Again, they were here together again. Hopefully we see a little more Zeus Ghost and Gray Bear over the weekend. As you mentioned, we'll see everyone at some point at Sunday at the end of these tryouts. Everyone will have that time to showcase their ability, to showcase their teamwork ability. And I think it's actually so much harder to do when you're working with uh, constantly swapping out people. And that's why I kind of called it kind of like a pugs kind of environment, because you're just mixing the teams around, you're mixing players around, you're seeing what works where, who does what, who doesn't do what can be done, things like that. This is just making at all times. So it's just probably one of the it's fun. I think of it as a fun thing, but also probably one of the most stressful environments um probably to be in
Yeah.
in this esport is these kind of tryouts.
Yeah, because ultimately, obviously, you're rooting for each other, but obviously, you're rooting for yourself. You want to be
Yeah.
able to pull this out and show what you're able to do. That's human nature at the end of the day. That's just how we are built as people. Because you want nothing more than for your other 6 teammates to be like the best around you. And obviously, we'll see how things form as a result of how things go with these trials. Remember, it is only the very first day. We have more going on tomorrow and Sunday, and obviously, if more need to go from there, obviously, we'll proceed forward with that. But this is how a lot of teams are proceeding differently with their own trials. There are a couple teams like Iceland that already have their roster announced. They already, hey, these are our 7.
Yeah.
We know what we're doing. With things like Team Chile, and I think when we get into big things like with Team Brazil, with Team Germany, we're going to see them have to take more time, because there are a lot of players that play at such a high level to where you have to take the time. You have to decide, hey, we need to dedicate more than just a couple of days to deciding who's going to represent us on the global stage. It takes more than that for a lot of these regions, as we'll get into that more, but we see the display of who we have coming in, and hey, we got a couple of new names on display here.
Oh, there they are. All right. I mentioned we haven't seen Dark, we haven't seen Proper yet, right? So
Yeah.
these two finally gonna come in. We're gonna see Tokyo have another redemption. Maybe some better luck on Esperanza. Yet another push map. I think push is probably honestly a pretty solid map to like kind of give it a nice even playing field. Sometimes I do think that attackers and defenders maps like your escort and your payloads can get a little bit like they can get a little bit disproportional at times. You know what I mean? So I do think push. I like that. I like we're going push again. Once again, I didn't think it's one of the more neutral map types. Maybe out control might triumph it more often than not. But with that being said, I am excited. We have I think everyone else in that roster we saw real quick was some repeats. So we have Ghost of Chile coming back in, who only played on Coliseo 2 maps ago. So I get to see some more, hopefully preferring they did prefer the May, so maybe some more May action can come out as we go on to Esperanza. Maybe some more dive between our tanks, but I don't know who these guys are. Dark, I don't know who that is. I don't know who Proper is, who this Proper is, of course. So come on now, but but I want to see what they bring to the table. Do we see Zarya again with Vendetta, the what has been considered meta? Do we see some fun stuff? Orisa maybe come out, Mauga. Do we see something crazy? Do we see something more what has been more consistent in the past couple of maps?
Yeah, we'll see, because we've had an excellent display of flexibility throughout the
Yes.
entire day from a lot of these players, which again, you love to see. You want to see it. You have to see it, honestly. So we'll see what that goes, but at the end of the day, you also want to show what characters you are best on, because that's going to be your biggest highlight. That's going to be your biggest display of what you can do. As we'll get ready to head into our next map, which, all things considered, potentially our last map of the night. You never truly know, but we're ready to get into things properly. As again, Proper and Dark gonna begin for the first time, and it's gonna be respectively on your tanks.
No, famously not his scan hero, but
Yep.
but playing the character anyway, and why not, right? She's fun. She's fun for the player, not for anyone else. That's okay, But I do want to see what Darker does bring to the table here with DKR and Graber working in tandem on that double flex DPS line. Kiriko cooldown's all but expended, meaning wait a minute, that's a role swap.
Ooh.
Oh my goodness, poor old Nika taken out early and then Proper unfortunately taken last and then likely staggered out here. Yeah, that's actually something interesting. We have a role swap from one of our hit scans over to flex support.
Yeah, that is actually extremely interesting, all things considered. You don't really see it, but there are some players out there that literally are essentially two-way players, where they can play both roles. And to be fair, I mean, Mott, we know, we've seen it in the past of Overwatch, where things shifted a certain way, especially look at the GOATS era, where if you're a DPS player, you had to learn Zarya, you had to learn Tank, or otherwise, buddy, you were on the bench.
Pretty much. That's how cutthroat it can be, and this is definitely no different. Ooh, you saw that slide? You saw that slide up in the air, rail shot right to the noggin. My God, Tokyo. This is what was missing out on Dorado. This is what we needed to see from Tokyo. Of course, we're going to see Zybe coming back into the fight here now on the Kiriko versus, we saw him earlier on Mizuki. We saw him on Jetpack Cat, now playing a little bit more of a stable character like Kiriko. Pulse Bomb finds two. Finds both Tokyo and, of course, the Kiriko into the Winston. Greybear with a beautiful three-piece.
Yeah, that looks beautiful. We'll see how things go from here, as again you're seeing the combination of the Vendettas are as tough to deal with. And Proper, I don't think is doing a bad job on this Winston right here. Seen them way back in the past. Again, they're one of those old Open Division players, way back on Blackrock Legends, way back in the day, 2019. Needs to find a little something here, because you're getting so much advantage right here. 108 meters this early on.
Big barrier coming in from Valparaiso. The momentum is just shifting so far in their favor. Proper has not had a proper chance to actually set up anything on this dive that we are so insistent on with the Winston and the Tracer. Again, goes to Chile, going down to DKR. Now we're in the last home stretch, very similar to what we had seen on Rusafi. Less than 3 minutes have elapsed, by the way.
Yeah, this is rough, and you're going to have a Grav online. Consider Rush has to be used, and it's going to be pushing out everybody. But Darkwody has the Grav ready. Could end this if they get the right person.
Hold on. A couple of things going away from them. There's 3 down. Continued rush from Nika is starting to deplete. There's a Grav Hunter I was talking about earlier, and that's going to be the end of the line. Pulse Bomb. Not going to find too much, but the recall does get forced out, and then we get... Ooh, my bad. Yeah, you're done, buddy. Valparaiso with a 3-minute and maybe 30-second game on our hands there. Really giving, I think Greybear honestly getting the first of all play the game, but also getting a kind of a second chance to showcase that Tracer. We had someone on Sojourn on Coliseo, and I don't think could get too much. I don't recall, but this is a much better performance from them in my opinion.
Yeah, like way better. And you bring in these other players, and obviously, I mean, you go out the gate and say, like, obviously, Dark White Teeth looks great out the gate. This is a very small sample size, which I think is the most important part. And obviously, it's important for Proper as well, who only got to really play for less than half of an actual map, which is rough. But obviously, we'll be able to see them more. They're not going to be hard judged by 3 minutes of gameplay at the end of the day. But we'll see how things kind of change from there, as at least for the moment being, I mean, you go out there and Dark looks great over on the Zarya, and obviously DKR, who had some good moments previously, it looks great on the Vendetta, who, again, as good as a character that there is, that still takes skill, that still takes timing to go in there and do what you do.
Yeah, I gotta agree with you. Vendetta is such a... She's very punish-based. Like, if you use your cooldowns incorrectly, if you're in the wrong spot, if you're even breathing wrong, if your mouse is slightly wrong DPI, like, she's just going to kill you, Yeah. And I think, Santiago, the team of Santiago did feel that this time. The players of Santiago, may I really correct myself. Otherwise, yeah. I mean, there's not really much to say. It was a 3.5-minute map. Sometimes it just is what it is, and it be like that. It really do be like that.
It do be like that sometimes. At the end of the day, though, I think these players have a lot to be happy with how things have gone down today. I think everyone's really had their moment to shine. Even Gregor, someone who hasn't been as often, I think showed what they can do pretty heavily right there in that small period of time. Because, well, obviously, I don't think you'll be judged by what you didn't do in a small number of time. I think what you can do in a small amount of time is pretty important in its own rights. But regardless, I think it's good display, and that's Valparaiso taking their first map, by the way. So the curse is officially broken. There is no curse.
Yes!
We can let it go. There is no lore here. There is no curse in Ba Sing Se. We're golden over here. But, obviously, good for them at the end of the day to take that one away. So we don't have to worry about any curses going into the rest of the weekend. But regardless, I'm happy with that at the end of the day. I think that everyone's looked good in their own right. I know I've looped back around the conversation here, but it cannot be said enough, genuinely.
Yeah, no, I am right there with you, genuinely. Like, and I don't know if they're gonna go. I'm not gonna lie. I would push an extra map just because the map did not take 10 minutes. It took 3 minutes. And they do great. If they don't, it is. I had nothing else. It's fine. Like I had nothing else planned for us at night. I pretty much. I didn't even know how long these usually go for. I did kind of assume a scrim block of 2 hours, but I didn't know how realistic that actually physically was. So I literally blocked out the rest of my night in case I was here for like 6 hours. You never know how long they want to play Overwatch for. But if they want to keep doing more maps, and I would love to see more of Dark and Proper, because I saw a lot of Dark. I didn't see a lot of Proper, and that's not really his fault. They did a lot of swaps that they thought would have worked, and of course I think the natural progression from Zarya mirror into Winston counter, it makes sense. It's usually on paper Zarya struggles into Winston more often than not, but I feel like even after some of her adjustments, even after the big patch that came out that basically didn't gut her, but she did get a couple of adjustments and a couple of nerfs to her kit, I still think she does absolutely wonderful work into the Winston into the Winston matchup. We do have our next map coming up. It is going to be Circuit Royale, so we're going to be seeing some escort, some poke, hopefully maybe a little bit more brawl than we've been seeing in the past, and I would not be opposed to seeing either of those compositions with some of the players being lined up as we speak.
Yeah, well, no, 100%. And we'll see what ends up coming of it in a situation like this. But we'll see at the end of the day. Because obviously, there are some players that, again, we haven't seen. And I'm not screen peeking or anything, but I am. We do, if you're in the server, we are able to see who is in what channel. So if we want to talk about it now, we definitely could. But there are some players that I am excited to talk about if they are coming in for this game, but obviously I'll wait till we actually see them on the screen to kind of enunciate my we'll call it excitement a little bit here, because I didn't originally see them on the listing, but I'll be excited nonetheless to talk about them once we officially see them on the screen, because I'm not spoiling you. You think I have the script or something? I don't.
No, not
Dex has the script.
No, I was about to say, yeah, the script is gone.
Yeah, so the lore script, for those who don't know, and I think Mott knows to an extent, is that it's a notebook with just the script written on it. He has brought it on for our picture twice, and both times it was a map 5. That is a powerful device that we can't just use willy-nilly. There's a reason it doesn't let me have it. I would abuse it every time.
You would just open it all the time. You would read it out loud to a class like a bedtime story. Like that's what you and I would do the same thing. I'll be reading the script every single day. But Dex is the knower of all. If you peeped Halloween, he was in fact the knower of all. Oh my goodness, I love that guy. He's a script holder, but no script here. It's just some Chilenos playing the game, and I'm excited to see them. It does look like we're gonna have, who we haven't seen in a while, Pakovic. Yeah. We're gonna see Pakovic today.
Yeah. Pakovic looked big back on. I think we're all the way back on. Am I thinking Coliseo? Coliseo is the map that comes to mind, because it's becoming I think it's becoming a little bit of a blur. It's been a very, very long day. I believe this is my 19th map coming up here
today.
Yeah.
Oh, because you were doing earlier. No, you're right. You're completely correct. Yep. I forgot about it. You did Turkey earlier, right? Yeah.
Yep. Did a double block there. That was a lot of fun, honestly. Had a great time down there. But obviously, we're here. We're going to be finishing the night strong, hopefully, with a very competitive map, as I think we're still getting everything in and sorted out, make sure everybody's good to go for what is potentially the last one of the day. Obviously, I do not know. I do not have the script. I couldn't tell you for a fact.
No.
But there are certain characters that, again, I'm kind of seeing over on the thing, and I really do want to talk about them. I promise I do, guys. But I can't. That's not my right to talk about it until I see them properly on the screen. Because again, no spoilers here. I don't give that away for free.
But for $1, maybe.
Yeah, $1 to my Patreon. Kidding.
Tidbit information. No, we're lying. This is all a joke. Please.
This is a
Blizzard,
joke. Please,
we love you.
For legal reasons. For legal reasons. This is a joke.
It's a joke. It's a joke. For legal reasons, it's a joke. Love you, Blizzard. No. Like. With Circuit Royale, I've always I have this like love-hate with payload maps, with escort maps specifically, except for Shambali. I love Shambali, but with the other ones, sometimes they feel so slow, and they're built kind of that way. They're meant to be kind of like slower pace, especially first point of Circuit Royale. Oh my goodness, it's like pulling out teeth every single time. Casting it or even like coming over it, talking over it, it's low-key a drag. I'm just waiting for like the go button, and it never really comes. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? Like, it's kind of like so chill, and then someone can release like headshot, and it all falls over in like 2 seconds. It's really funny. Oh my goodness.
I think Escort's a very particular map type where it feels like you're either going to get one of the best maps you've ever seen or one of the most boring. I don't think there's much of an in-between for Escort. Because a lot of these maps are very DPS intensive for Escort. You think of like a Circuit Royale. You think of, honestly, I think of Shambali when I think of that as well, where DPS play is really important. You think of things like Route 66, where if you're on gas station and you're an Ashe and just nothing's stopping you, you feel like you own the world. That's just how it is for DPS players in scenarios like that, where you get to play on a really big corner where you have these big sight lines. It gives them more power to show what they could do, and I think that's what I hope we see from some of these other players here as we're getting ready to head to our next map, as again we see a lot of people coming in, but a new player coming in, EV Dog, over on the tank, and more specifically on the lovely Donna.
Yeah, even though coming in, and Burr already, blowing heads off. My goodness, a big headshot onto Zybe of all people. Again, losing your Kiriko, like you have Yari, right? So you have a little bit of that healing output with the pylon, and of course her primary fire, her secondary fire. But when you're just being constantly domed down by Burr on this Widowmaker, this is her map. This is as a character, by the way. This is Widowmaker's map every single time. They're always pushed back on first point now.
Yeah, no, 100%. And now we're beginning to push things back here as EV Dog going to get hit with that accretion, but it's still going to be hanging around, staying alive, doing your thing. But there's been a lot of space given up early, and Bert is just waiting for somebody to peek their head, waiting to take their head off, at least for the time being. Nobody willing to go down, but eventually Black will fight for that bullet.
Dude, if not Bert, it's gonna be Volition. Both playing these double sniper competitions, classic on something like Circuit Royale. And look at this, everyone's gonna start backing up as soon as they possibly can. And the follow-up is very much there. Now we're pushing up into the correct space for point B. They're here at the hill. Look where the cart is, man. This is perfect gameplay.
Yeah, no, it's a really good display early on of how to do this, as just take the level of aggression. Remember, Pakovic is not going too far forward. You don't want to put yourselves in a situation where you get caught out with the Panopticon early on. But which I found out the other day can be eaten. Figured that out the very fun way. But with the sights online for Bert, everyone has to play a little bit more carefully here. Because again, oh my god!
Dude, Pun just double jumped towards the side to get good positioning, and it didn't even make a bad move, but didn't accommodate for Bert's Widowmaker's positioning or the sights that were online for him. And look at this, Bert with a double kill. Black Wolf and Senses had no chance. And now you have a timing of almost 5.5 minutes here as we go into point C. Oh my goodness, this is crazy.
Yeah, this is indeed insane. There's not a whole lot of I can explain at this point because San Diego's team is just doing their talking for me at this stage. But
Yeah.
remember, third point is still not an easy point to capture. In fact, I feel like none of these are particularly easy to capture. But third point especially, as Captive Sun thrown out, is going to catch into a couple of people, but he needs someone to blow up eventually.
Well, not gonna be. Unfortunately, it's not gonna be Eefi's biggest fan, but it is going to be Burt and Pakovich. All by not by DPS, not by even Eevee Dog. It's gonna be by Zybe on this Kiriko, who has now garnered enough to have a rush of their own. Of course, coupled with this Dragon Strike from Pun Pun.
Yeah, 110% here. So now you're able to stop the bleeding for the first time really so far on this map, and now you put yourself in a good territory because you have the dragons, you have Kitsune Rush to respond here. And kind of keep the stemming of the blood going, but Bird, buddy, they have families. You can't do this. As
They have
see everyone,
family.
they don't want to peek, and I don't blame them either. Everyone's gonna get separated and pushed back. The dragon separates momentarily, but all it's really gonna do is help some people get out.
They have these as corner, and it sucks that you can't. And then you have your Sigma on the side who's getting super out pressure. You have to use Kitsune Rush just to refresh certain cooldowns, just to get that increase in everything, really. The Sun coming through, the Suzu does cleanse it over here.
Yep.
A little bit of a miss situation here for Side and Santiago, but you know, they made space. That's all that matters at the end of the day. We also have the sites online for Birds in the meantime. Pack in the middle of the engagement, taken down by a rail shot from Black Wolf. Now, that's the go button to retake the space. Even better yet, let's go for the Flux. Why not a 3-piece? Oh, 1 kill. Can we get a second, a third? Look how low that Juno is, and there it is. Double kill. What a rock, though.
Ooh, yeah. Eevee Dog Rub situation, it should be able to get out of here alive without too much of an issue. But now you have your own Flux. I saw Pakovic saw so many people together. I honestly, I wouldn't have had the hesitation. I wouldn't have had the wherewithal to hold on to that ultimate for a better time. But again, there's a reason why they're on the screen and not me, as you have big combination with that dragon to go with that Sigma ult. Because remember, those two go surprisingly well together.
Black Wolf LOS, the Flux. Didn't get picked up by it, or Pac-Man got canceled it. Oh my goodness, that's big!
Ooh,
oh
yeah.
my gosh, Santiago only 2 people left in the fight here too. Still, even though we are seeing Valparaiso start to slowly bring back their gameplay, start to slowly bring it back, right? They still have to deal with another about 3 minutes in this defense.
Yeah, there is a lot of time still have to deal with this. And it's rough, obviously, but you have a chance to pull it back. Let's make that very apparent. There's plenty of time, but it feels like more than half of it's already kind of gone away. You're coming up to a dragon if you're Pun Pun, who swapped out a little earlier to that Hanzo, as unfortunately they're trying to break through, and Valparaiso is just not giving up a whole lot of space. This is the most they've given up in quite some time.
Yeah, and they're still getting good kills here. Look, Pakovic, and they unfortunately taken down by the shot from Black Wolf. Bird gets a reversal onto the mirror match here, and we shut down Flux, and we're at 1 HP. No, you hate to see it, truly. This is where it's all starting to fall down for Valparaiso.
Yeah.
Marako, te quieres solo ulita. He wanted to solo him.
And you still have, I think it's Pun Pun in the back line right now, trying to rotate all the way out. Is able to do so for now, but now you're in a final fight territory. A little less than 2 minutes on the clock. You're going to come in with the Captive Sun, so Zybe's going to have to be very careful when to use his cleanse, because it has to be saved for that situation right here, as Eevee Dog more than happy to stay near the bottom, stay near the cart. They are the main proprietor of why that cart's not going to move forward. And the moment that thing gets down to the open, it's going to be tough to deal with.
Overclocking the high ground, love it. Look at that. Pun Pun has returned to safety behind the pillar, but Burt is in the perfect position to snip that head right off. Ooh, 1 down for Zybe. So Zybe has to re-engage with the Kitsune Rush and stay safe, but stay safe they cannot. Storm Arrow shuts down the Kiriko. There goes a secondary fire onto the Yari. There goes Black Wolf. There goes Eevee Dog. And with only under a minute to go, there's the full cap we were looking for from Santiago.
Yeah, but, you know, all credit in this situation for Valparaiso for being able to hold that. Remember, it was 5.5 minutes going into that when they managed to cut it down all the way to just under a minute. That's a really good display right there. Unfortunately, obviously, eventually, Santiago is able to pull it together to make it their own. But now, we're giving it the opportunity for Valparaiso to get their own attack on. And I think EVDog honestly looked really good overall. Obviously, it's a rough first couple of minutes, but overall, able to find a really big sense of improvement, able to shut down Pakovic a lot of the time as well, and really took away a lot of those sightlines from Burt as well, where, again, Mod, as you figured out throughout the day, as I've known for some time, if you give Burt the open sightlines, he will take full advantage of it.
I don't even think they're giving him open sightlines. I think they're just crazy. I think they're just insane on Widow, bro. I don't know what to tell you. Like, there were just some moments where Burt would just, like, kind of, shimmy away, shimmy out towards the open, look for a head, and then, unfortunately, like, Pun would double jump into, like, the sight line, trying to get good positioning as a sniper themselves. Like, you know what I mean? Like, Burt is just insane on Widowmaker. I want to see more of it. Now, we're going to see so much from them anyway, and we're going to see the Sigma mirror. Not even going to try to play Domina here, and that's how, I think that's so cool, by the way, that Sigma, even in the face of a character like Domina, still reigns supreme on something like Circuit Royale, and Volition, with the right positioning and the right momentum, gets a kill onto Pun. Secondary fire from Burt kills Black Wolf. No DPS here for our attackers.
Yeah, rough way to get things started right now. And, again, obviously, it's only first fight out. You bounce back. It takes one pick, though, to bring momentum back their way. It is literally as simple as that. That is the game of Overwatch right there. But no one is going to peek their head willingly. No one is going to walk in front of Black Wolf or Pun and say, yes, please shoot my head. Please, I wish to go back to my spawn. Thank you very much. It's not going to happen. But someone is going to have to eventually peek. And unfortunately for Valparaiso, it's going to have to be them.
It is. Look how low their HP pools are, by the way. They were at half HP, have to get regenerated, but while they're getting focused by their supports, Pac is struggling. Oh, there it is. The momentum too much to bear. EVDog finding the win in that mirror match in the Sigma 1v1, and now we can start pushing up past the bridge and into the crosswalk. EVDog gonna take one down beforehand.
Yeah, you saw that really good creation from EVDog to take him down, and that's what really stopped them from being able to properly escape in that situation. So, really good overall, and now you're looking at potentially having a big-time make here, especially if EVDog can get up towards this Gravitic Flux right now. That's right around the corner. Unfortunately, you lose Black Wolf early on, and that could stop things right then and there.
It will stop things right then. Look how fast Valparaiso need to back up. They're back at the bridge again. They're basically back where they started 2 minutes ago. Burt with a good exiting over, rail shot, and then Volition with one right onto Pun. They're going to get the wave respawn, thankfully, so they'll be back soon enough, but 2 minutes is not enough. Not a lot of time for first point.
No, not a whole lot at all, but you're going to come in with the Flux. You don't have, like, the biggest response, because obviously the support ultimate's a little bit more on the offensive side than anything else. It's not necessarily for full-on sustain. So if you're EVDog, you're looking to find that opportunity. You're hoping to find a couple people in there that won't be able to sustain through it. You would love to get, like, a Surreal or Burt in a situation like this if you can afford to do so, but for Senses, they get a great first pick to get this fight started.
Yeah, because Surreal's orbital rays have been so prominent, not just this map, but the previous maps as well. They had to supplement that with Zybe, needing to use Missing Rush just to clear the field here. You know, that's all that they need. That's exactly the perfect opportunity to start clearing this field, go into first point with about a minute left, and they're also going to go in with a very aggressive, but honestly, well-needed Flux.
That felt personal.
Why not?
That was a little personal.
Yep. Econ bad. I said bad.
Oh, that's beautiful. I was about to compliment Valparaiso for only having to use one ultimate for that fight, but I'm going to take back that compliment right now as they're still in this spawn. Gets taken out too, so now you're going to get a ton of progress here if you're Valparaiso. And you still have some really good ultimates too going this fight. That Cat to Sun, which obviously no cleanse available for Santiago now that they're on the Lari and the Juno. But unfortunately, they have so much sustained power going into this fight where it's tough to think that Santiago shouldn't be able to just pull this off.
Sun from the back, but you have 70 HP, 163. Oh my goodness, going back and forth, playing with your life. Census goes down, but not before exploding the Shimado brother, but only one elimination for Valparaiso as the rest of Santiago are cleared out of the field. Absolutely once again. Yo, I need to turn that off. This is not funny. He keeps calling him bad. It's so bad.
Oh, this is beautiful. But now 2.5 minutes left. You've used everything to get through here, and now if you're Santiago, you have a great ability to invest in this fight. You're gonna see that flux being thrown around the corner, but it catches nobody as the dragon tries to get them some room.
Oh my goodness! And it was a very, it was a dreamful flux, right? And I mean, Loki, yeah, like Huntertain could, I mean, sides out, yeah. There's now three there instead. If you want to get to Juno, you could. I mean, Juno kind of in the airspace, surreal, barely surviving at like negative HP beneath or behind that tent. Now Burt has to fully disengage. Volition returns with a fire, a volley right to Zob's face. Thankfully, the stall was good enough. Pack is there. Now we can start packing up the rest of this team.
Yeah, now if you're EV Dog, you just gotta run. Get out of dodge. Take that reset. You're working up towards your own flux, though, so you're gonna have something going into this next fight, and you're gonna be able to live as well, so won't have to wait too long. But now you get a little worried. I sometimes call this heartbreak kill because this is a point that is very tough to finish once you have been stopped once. That is just how this is. It's rough to deal with. But I mean, having a flux, that's pretty high up on my list of ultimates that I would love to have going into this fight. And it's going to be used here. Need to get somebody. Unfortunately, nobody dies as a result.
No, it does. Yeah, no one unfortunately goes down. Yo, stop typing mid-fight. I'm sick. Sun comes in from Eevee's biggest fan right onto, I think that's a Sojourner or the Hanzo. Yeah, oh, no, I'm sorry. That's onto the mirror match onto the Yari. Excuse me. Lily was so small I couldn't see exactly what silhouette that was, but it does result in a big team kill for Santiago. Beautifully done. Again, off the back of the overclock and that Sun from Eefy. Really good stuff.
Yeah, 100%. Now with 45 seconds, we are very much entering Final Fight territory at the end of the day. I can't wait to look back at so many of these messages later. But now it's Final Fight. You have a good city rush, but you also have Pun around the corner. You're going to have your overclock available. Still, you're around the corner with Santiago for so many ultimates that are defining, especially Surreal, who's going to have the orbital ray ready inside, but he's going to take the aggression here. They need to get something early on as orbital ray has come out.
And the overclock. Oh, that might be the answer. Double kill. No DPS for Santiago. No DPS for our defenders. 9 seconds left. Less than that. Even they're pushing them all the way down to the wire. Oh, we're absolutely gonna get our third point push here. Yup, look, you can go for touch. You have nothing to boot after. There it is. Only a minute and a half though. Mi's very, very minuscule compared to the 5.5 we had seen from Santiago.
Yeah, 100%. But remember how long it took Santiago to make it through in the first place. And now I have a situation where if you're Valparaiso, you can turn the script. You can't beat the time bank, but you can still finish the map, which is extremely important in this situation. To finish the day with a good level of momentum. Especially you have the Captain Sun and the Bob going into this fight, both which are incredibly powerful tools, especially if Black Wolf needs a little bit of that extra help burning away this backline and forcing everybody into uncomfortable positions. But still, you had to put yourself in that position in the first place to let it work, and here we go. Captain Sun available, trucked, and it's eaten.
What a nice ether from Pack. I mean, literally just used it and then went to the side, and that area, that hitbox, just took the entire Sun into it, eating it, making it rendering completely useless, and unfortunately Senses was left to die there. We also see the Flux committed from Eevee Dog. Just for the sake of Evolution is in the back line. No one has really spotted them quite yet, and there's Senses coming back from the spawn room, taking care of that Hanzo, and somehow, some way, yeah, Valparaiso gonna be continuing on with only 2 people in their party.
Yeah, they need to get everybody back, which means you might have to see Eevee Dog back out a little bit here as, oh, God. Is rating to 10 seconds left. That Bob on display. I like that Black Wolf. This Bob is ready. Everyone's hanging around the high grounds. Nobody wants to be in a position as that Bob, I think, is capable of getting that initial touch to cause the overtime. That it will. Unfortunately, that Bob is going to be burnt away by Volition, and it's looking like Valparaiso not going to be able to finish that one off as Santiago finish this one off, and with that, I believe our night is going to be finished on that note. But I think it's a strong end for both squads, for all the players that came in here. And at the end of the day, I am truly blessed that we got to watch this.
No, truth nuke on that one. Like, oh my goodness. Just the opportunity, even if it's the only one that I'm able to do because of scheduling and everything, right? I am just so happy.
Oh my God.
Like, that was actually insane. Wait, what the hell? But
yeah, that was a shot. Wow.
But Yeah, that was the last one. I just saw everyone leave their voice chats. So that was definitely the last map, and I have just been so happy to be here. Hunter, thank you for inviting me out to cast with you, to you know vibe out with you with these
Yeah.
players, because it was enlightening, genuinely very enlightening to like have a little dive into the other, really the other regions, other scenes out there.
Yeah, no, 100%. And obviously, these trials going out throughout the weekend, you're going to see a lot more of this action as well. And being able to experience it is going to be a lot of fun. And obviously, there's a bunch of other regions that haven't even begun their tryouts yet. I mean, you
Yes.
look at ones that are happening a little further down the line. You look at like Costa Rica, Puerto Rico, Brazil, Peru, Argentina. There's a lot that we still get to be able to see. And it's going to be really exciting to see what these teams do. And hopefully, obviously, be able to cover as much as humanly possible. But Matt, you're right about one thing. It's been a long day. We've been here a hot minute now. So I'm gonna go
Yeah.
ahead and get ready to close this one out. But first of all, I want to thank everybody for coming out here today for this one. I of course want to thank Amat Neva for coming and joining me for this game. Make sure to come back around tomorrow. It is an action-packed day. We're going back over to, I should say, I'm going back over to Turkey tomorrow at noon EST to cover their second day of their trials. Then we are coming back for the Team Chile Tryouts day 2 tomorrow. It's happening at 6 p.m. instead of 8 o'clock. And then rounding out the night all the way at 10 p.m., Costa Rica versus Team Puerto Rico going at it in a show match. Which is going to be phenomenal to see. Lots going on this weekend, a lot going on tomorrow. Please pray for my voice. But I appreciate y'all. I appreciate Mod. I appreciate everybody under the goddamn sun. So everyone, have yourselves a fantastic night, and we'll see you next time. Take care.